Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to June 25th, 1 p.m. Metropolitan Planning Commission meeting. We will start out with our opening announcements, please.
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and the Wichita-Sedgwick County Board of Zoning Appeals would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. For those in attendance, copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and Planning Department staff reports on all agenda items are available in the lobby. The Planning Commission's and the BZA's bylaws limit the applicant on a zoning, subdivision, or variance application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the chairman may extend these times by up to 2 minutes. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone. Please note that all written and visual materials you present to the Commission and the Board will be retained by the Secretary as part of the official record. If you are not speaking, but you wish to be notified about future proceedings on a particular case, please provide your contact information to the Planning Department. The Planning Commission and the Board are interested in hearing the views of all persons who wish to express themselves on all the agenda items. However, we ask that all speakers please be as courteous and concise as possible and avoid long repetitions of facts or opinions which have already been stated. For your information, the Wichita City Council has adopted a policy for all city zoning items. A copy of this policy is available from the planning staff. The City Council relies on a written record of the Planning Commission hearings and does not conduct its own additional public hearings on these items. The decision of the BZA is final. Any appeal of a decision of the BZA is to the district court.
Before we do the roll call, I just want to make a quick announcement regarding cell phones. If everybody would please put your cell phones either off or on man mode, be muchly appreciated. And also for the commissioners, please pay attention to your mic to make sure that when it's green, it's hot. So if you're not speaking, please make sure that it is off. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Aldridge. Zimbelman. Fry. Mater. McKay. Dool.
Here.
Bill Johnson.
Present.
High.
Here.
Klontz is absent. Warren.
Here.
Joe Johnson is absent. Austin.
Here.
Williams Bay. And there is a vacant position. Sir, I show there are 11 people present. 11 members present. Thank you.
Thank you. So if it's repeated 11, does that make it 22? Nothing. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll go through the agenda. We're going to start with the approval of the minutes. I do want to let everybody know on April 29th minutes, there has been revisions on that, so we can take those approval with the revisions. If anybody would like to make a motion.
So moved. Second.
Can we have a motion for Commissioner McKay and seconded by Commissioner Fry? Excuse me, Fry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Anybody opposed, same sign. Next agenda item will be the minutes for May 14th, showing that there was no members absent. Is there
If I may,
for approval?
pardon me, it is showing that, oh no, the 14th, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong week.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm good.
Okay, so,
approve.
okay, we have a motion to approve. Was that, who made the motion?
May 14th, yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Warren, seconded by Commissioner McKay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next agenda item is the approval of the minutes for the special meeting on May 19th. There has been, again, corrections on that. The initial minutes have showed that Joe Johnson was the only one absent. Joe Johnson, Commissioner Maynard, and also Commissioner Williams Bay all were absent on that day. So those revisions have been made along with a few other corrections on that. So again, we can approve that. Is there a
Approve with revisions.
Okay, we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Warren. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner McKay seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Abstain.
Oh, excuse me. Should be, yeah, two abstentions. So it'll be 9-0-2. Thank you. The next item is the minutes, approval for the minutes for May 28th. There was no members that were absent. You were, oh, okay, what am I on, the 14th? Oh, excuse me. Okay, the 28th. Okay, Tim, Commissioner Ott was absent. This is going to be,
Is there another microphone that's on besides yours?
no, I don't think so. We're definitely getting feedback somewhere. Would it be that, Mike?
And I notice it's sitting right underneath the speaker, so it's probably
Okay.
picking it up.
Sorry for the inconvenience and the delay. We have technical difficulties. I believe we got them fixed. Okay, so anyway, on the May 28th, Commissioner Austin was shown as absent. There was no corrections. As anybody would like to make a motion for approval? We have a motion by Commissioner Williams Bay. Is there a second? Commissioner Zimmerman, second. All supportive of favor of the motions signify by saying aye. Opposed, same side. Motion has passed. Now what we will do is, June the 11th, minutes have been deferred to July 9th. So we can now go to the, to determine what items on the agenda can be taken by consent. We will look at consideration for the subdivision recommendations. First item, 2.1, which is subdivision 2026-00025, has been deferred to July the 9th. So if anybody's here to hear that one, it's been deferred to July 9th. Second item, 2.2, subdivision 2026-00027 has been deferred also to July 9th. So if anybody's here for that one, it's been deferred to July 9th. Subdivision 2.3 is SUB 2026-00030. That has been deferred to July 23. So if anybody's here for that one, that's been deferred to July 2023. The next item is subdivision 2.4, subdivision 2026-00031. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear this case? Mr. Austin? Okay, we will circle that one. We will hear that case. Subdivision 2026-00032. That has also been deferred to September 10th. So if there's anybody here for that one, that has been deferred to September the 10th. Next agenda item is 2.6, subdivision 2026-00034. That item has been deferred to July the 9th. So if anybody's here for that particular one, it's been deferred to July 9th. Next agenda item is 2.7, subdivision 2026-00035. That's a one-step final plat at the Guerrero Addition in the city. Is anyone on the commission would like to hear that case? Seeing none, if anyone in the audience would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we can move 2.7 to consent. Next agenda item is 2.8, subdivision 2026-00037. Just for a correction on the packets that we have on staff report, it shows 2.9. That needs to be corrected to 2.8, commissioners. It's a one-step final plat for the Potter addition. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear that case? Seeing none, anyone from the audience would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we can move 2.8 to consent. 2.9, subdivision 2026-00038 has been deferred to July 9th. So if there's anyone here for that particular item, it has been deferred. We will now move to the public hearing vacation items. Vacation 2026-00021, that's 3.1 on the agenda. Has anybody on the commission would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is anyone from the audience would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we can move 3.1 to consent. Next agenda item, 3.2, vacation item 2026-00021. This vacation request in the county. Has anyone on the commission would like to hear this case? Seeing none, anyone from the audience would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we can move 3.2 to the consent agenda item.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
move that we approve items 2.7, 2.8, 3.1, and 3.2 as consent.
Okay, we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Fry. We have a second by Commissioner High. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion has passed. We will be hearing item 4, which is a non-public hearing item, 4.1, conditional use 2026-00048. That's on the solar end version, so we will be hearing that case. Next agenda item that we have is 5.1. Yes, conditional use 2026-00038. Just to make a comment on this one, we can take the this on consent, or we can hear the revisions from the additional internal findings. The problem on this is that there was a legal description on the boundaries was not correct. So some of the individuals, property owners on the notification weren't notified. So I'm going to turn it over to Director Wait a minute real quick.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So there is a revised staff report that was distributed as part of this one. That revision was distributed just earlier this week. What that revised staff report includes, and you'll see that on the red text, it'll say revised at the top in red, and within the report, it will say revised in red. You'll see that there's an alternative that has been added, an alternative action for consideration. The staff recommendation is still the same, but I wanted to make sure that we included that alternative so that you had that as an option to consider. Otherwise, there's been no change to it. In terms of the issue with the legal description and the notification, you may remember this case because it was presented to you sometime, I think, earlier this year when it did run into that issue. That case was essentially canceled out. This is a new case. It does have the correct legal description and notification was done appropriately. So,
Okay, but quick question. But if it's the will of the commission, we can take it on consent as the way we had actually heard the case, correct?
yes, sir, you can take it on consent and that would approve it with the staff recommended action, which is the first action that you will see listed in the staff report. Yes, sir.
So on this one, I'm going to ask what the will of the commission is. You want to hear the case? Okay, we will hear 5.1. Next agenda item, 5.2. We have several CUPs and they threw a zoning in there just for giggles. So is anybody from the commission would like to hear 5.2 with the various CUPs and the zoning? If not, is there anyone from the public that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we can take 5.2 on consent. Next agenda item, 5.3 is the PUD 2026-00013 zone change request in the city. Is there anyone from the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone from the audience who would like to hear this case? We do have somebody like to hear it, so we will be hearing 5.3. Next agenda item is 5.4, zone case 2026-00021. Is there anybody on the council or the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is anyone from the audience who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we will move 5.4 to consent. Next agenda item, we will be hearing, that's 5.5, zone case 2026-00022. Is the agent or applicant here? Is the agent or applicant here? Okay, Director Waddell?
Yes, sir. I will ask staff to make some phone calls and see if we can get in touch with them before their item is up.
Okay, thank you. Uh, 5.6, DER 2026-00010 has been deferred to July 23rd. And we will be hearing 7.1, which is DER 2026-00009, Sedgwick County CIP program. Is there a motion to approve the items for consent on the public hearing items?
I move that we approve items 5.2 and 5.4 on consent.
We have a motion by Commissioner Fry, is second
Second.
by Commissioner Williams-Bay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed. We will now go to the recess and go to the BZA agenda. There's 3 items on that. The minutes for the BZA for June 11th has been deferred to July 9th. So the second item on BZA 2026-00042, staff has stated that it does not meet all five criterias for approval, so we will be hearing item number 2. Is the agent or applicant here for that item? The agent or applicant here for that item? Not here, so we'll see if we can get in contact and come back to that one. Next agenda item on the DZA is BZA 2026-00050. Staff has stated that all of the 5 criterias have been met. So if it's the wish of the commission, that can be taken on a consent agenda item.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion for consent by Commissioner Zimmelman and second by Commissioner Williams, or Commissioner Warren, excuse me. We have another item too on that, but we'll go ahead and all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hold on just one second here.
Mr. Chairman, we may want to check and see if there's any members of the public here to speak on that
Okay.
item.
My error. Is there anyone from the public would like to hear that BZA case, 2026-0005? Seeing none, we got away with one. So anyway, we have a motion and we have a second it.
Hot mic.
And you want to,
I'm going slow today. Who made the motion and who was the second, please?
Commissioner Zimmelman and Commissioner Warren,
Thank you.
and the vote on that was unanimous for approval. The next agenda item on the BZA is 2026-00052. Again, staff has stated that all 5 of the criteria have been met, so this can be taken on consent. Is there anyone from the commission like to hear this case? Seeing none, does anyone from the audience like to hear this case? Seeing none, we can't take this on consent. Is there a motion? Motion to approve by Commissioner McKay and seconded by Commissioner Williams-Bay. Is that correct? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. The agent and the applicant's not here yet, so we're gonna recess out of the BZA and go back to the public hearing items, while we try to get a hold of the agent or the applicant on the BZA. Okay, the first agenda item that we're going to be hearing is a non-public item, and that's conditional use 2026-00048.
Mr. Joe.
Chair. Chairman. I believe there's a, prior to this, the subdivision item that was pulled.
That is correct. That was,
Yes, sir. 2.4.
okay, that's, sorry, Brad. That wanted to be here by Commissioner Austin.
Yes.
Okay, did you have any comments you want to make before we hear the case on this or your concerns?
Yeah, just the concern I have is I was not at the subdivision committee last week. I was out of town. But there were a number of subdivision plats on that agenda that were similar in nature. And this particular plat was located, same applicant, it's located in the same quarter section. And the first application in that quarter section was deferred. There was some questions on a number of issues, one of which was water. And I went back and watched the meeting minutes and the conduct of the hearing. But this particular application, which was the second one within the same quarter section and having same questions and issues that the first plat, which was deferred, was approved. And there's some inconsistency there. It also relates very similar to there was a subsequent plat, which is shown here as 2.6. Prairie Creek Estates, again, has very similar, if not the same issues that caused that to be deferred. And so I would ask that we send 2.4 subdivision 2026-31 back to subdivision committee for consideration for those same issues, primarily with water and access and some other concerns that the fire department had. I don't think those were sufficiently flushed out in terms of the.
Okay, I'd like to get some comments from legal. Counselor?
Yes, Chairman Justin Wagner, County Councilor. Want to double check. I'm not sure. I mean, off my recollection, I can't recall us having referred plats back to the subdivision committee. I'm not saying it's not an option. I was going to look into if it is an option. I'm not sure if anyone else here has any clarity on that, but I was going to look through the subdivision regulation statute and see. But
okay. So the Prairie Creek Estates 2.6 as reference was deferred from the subdivision to the next subdivision committee meeting. So the subdivision committee will hear the Prairie Creek Estates at their next meeting. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah.
So Counselor, my question to you is if there is an issue or concern on it, why couldn't we send that back for subdivision to have them relook at it again?
I'm looking further at the statute, and the statute doesn't require you to have a subdivision committee. I don't believe, I'm looking at our subdivision regulations. I want to double check that there's not a, I think in the absence of something saying you can't do it, I imagine you probably can refer it back. I guess is where I'm at right now, Chairman. I'm not seeing any reason you couldn't refer it back to the subdivision committee at this stage. It is somewhat awkward because there's already been a vote by the subdivision committee. So I don't know if you'd have a change of action potentially coming from the subdivision committee. But again, that's not something that's contemplated in your subdivision committee regulations.
Commissioner Warren?
Well, since we've got it here, I think that it would be hard to send it back without giving a hearing. So just a sub come off the top of our head, put it into a hearing when we haven't heard anything on it. Doesn't make any sense to me.
And
I want to send it back, we have to hear the whole thing.
And again, I think you could refer it back. It may be cleanest to just defer it. And then maybe in line with what Commissioner Warren, you were just saying, is it may be cleaner to just defer it to a future planning commission meeting, and then you could take it up again at that point as a planning commission.
Commissioner Johnson?
That was a question I had. Why don't we defer to the next planning commission meeting?
Commissioner Austin?
Mr. Chairman, and I agree with Commissioner Warren in philosophy to your comments. The difficulty in the full planning commission hearing is we don't have the benefit of the input of the staff and utility subdivision committee. So all those people that are present, like the fire department, county engineering, although I see Daniel Schrantz in the audience back there, but we don't have the benefit of everybody, and we don't have the benefit of the applicant or his agent. And I think it's a better form to send it back to the subdivision committee, even though it is a little bit unusual and awkward. I think that's the best venue for it to be heard. I might also note that on that meeting last week, Commissioner Johnson and myself were both absent, so there was a short group of people that were at the meeting.
Commissioner High?
Yeah, was the no vote, and the reason why I was a no vote was because the 2.3 was deferred, and I was confused why we didn't defer the 2.4, and so that's the reason why.
Commissioner Mader?
I was able to make that meeting, and a lot of discussion came from the utility advisory group. And I think to hear it virtually from scratch without their feedback would be difficult, because I think they had a lot of important things to say. So I would like to see it go back and be heard again.
Okay, any additional comments? What's the will of the commission? We can either defer it to the next planning commission meeting, which I'm not quite sure what that would accomplish, or we can kick it back to subdivision.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to rescind it or send it back to subdivision committee to be heard on the same date as item 2.3.
So that would be July 23rd.
Well, I'm a little confused on these. When it says deferred to the July 23rd MAPC, is that for subdivision committee date or is that for the future MAPC?
That is for the future MAPC date.
So it'd be the 16th then?
If you actually, I think the cleanest way, just to ensure that we get it on the same date for sub D, would be to say what you said before, the same date as item 2.3, which is 2026-30.
Okay, Commissioner McKay, do you have a comment?
Send it back based on what?
Yeah, I understand that. Based on the open questions as to water access, fire access. Thank you.
I would second that motion.
Okay, was that part of your, would that be part of your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion to send it back to subdivision by Commissioner Austin and a second by Commissioner Maynor for the comment stated. Is there, call a vote, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. I'm sorry, who was a no? We have 10 ayes and 1 no by Commissioner Warren. Is that correct? Okay, the motion passed. Okay, that cleans up subdivision items. Now we will go to 4.1 conditional use 2026-00048. Again, it's a non-public hearing item. Brett.
Brad Everly.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner William
I will not be participating in this case.
Sorry about that. Brad Everly, MAPD. And
Wait, what?
I begin, I do want to turn it over.
Brad, 1 second. Commissioner Williams, could you repeat that, please? Does he need a state why or?
I'm gonna let Scott, if that's okay, Chairman, let Scott address this, because I think he had that in the presentation, but I think he was going to address it now since it's come up, perhaps.
Yes, sir. So our records indicate that there were 3 planning commissioners that were not in attendance when this item was first considered by the MAPC on May 19th. And those 3 planning commissioners are Joe Johnson, Leon Mader, and John Williams. So for those who are not in attendance, you have 2 options. You can either A, announce that you are not going to participate, or B, you can participate, and I would encourage you to indicate on the record that you have made an effort to familiarize yourself with the application. Options to familiarize yourself with the application include reviewing the minutes and or video from the May 19th meeting. And so it's just a statement to indicate what their options are. There were 3 of them. Joe Johnson is in attendance, so that leaves it to Mr. John Williams indicated that you will not be participating. So that leaves it to you, Mr. Maynor.
I spent a significant amount of time yesterday reviewing all of the minutes, and I believe I'm able to participate today. So I'd like to participate if that's okay with council.
And I think I believe it would be Commissioner Mader. I would ask the question, did you also review the staff report that's in front of you today and as part of that as well?
Also, yes.
I think that would be permissible. That means you familiarize yourself with the record. Obviously, you'll hear more comments today, so I think that's permissible.
Most reading I've done in one day since college, and that was a long time ago.
Those are cliff notes.
Okay, thank you. Brad,
Sir, once again, Brandon Lilly, MEPT, we are discussing case on 6-00048. Keep it down. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, it sounds like you can. All right, so for this case, the applicants are requesting a conditional use to permit a solar energy conversion system on several properties. Project site is 1,359.6 acres in size and is generally bounded by South 119th Street West, West 71st Street South, South 101st Street West, and West 87th Street South. This commission did hear this at a public hearing on May 19th. The MAPC heard comments from the applicant and 34 public speakers. The MAPC requested staff to provide follow-up information at the scheduled meeting. And so much like a similar case, I'm just going to kind of go over the questions and staff's analysis from that meeting. So the first one that came up was that there was a little bit of clarification of the project area that was needed. There were questions and clarifications needed so that there was just a little bit more information. So there's an area of 40 acres on the southeast corner of West 79th Street South and South 135th Street West, which was included in the legal description but not illustrated on the concept plan. It was asked to clarify if the legal description needs to be revised to remove the 40 acres or if the concept plan needs to be revised to include the 40 acres. And then the concept plan illustrates 205 acres on the west side as an alternate array area. It was asked to clarify how the 205 alternate acres related to the overall development and how those acres impacted the data on the project area and panel coverage. So staff's analysis is that the applicants confirmed that the 40 acres in question are not going to be utilized for any part of the SECS. Therefore, as a condition of approval, a revised legal description that removes the 40 acres is required. Also, the total project area would encompass 1,359.6 acres. The concept plan identified the primary fenced area to be 645 acres in size, not including the alternate array area. The application did not specifically identify total panel coverage. However, all panels would be installed within the fenced area. If panels are only installed within the 645 acre primary fenced area, the panel coverage would not exceed 47%. At the May 19th meeting, the applicant explained that the alternate array area is designed to provide flexibility within the project area to accommodate any needed modifications to the placement of the arrays within the primary area. If there is a need or desire to move or remove portions of the array in the primary area, those panels could be placed in the alternate area. The alternate area could accommodate up to 205 acres of additional fenced-in project area. These 205 acres were accounted for and included in the 1,359.6 total calculation. If solar arrays were installed in the alternate array area, the total panel coverage would be the only data that would change. If the 645 acres of the primary area and the 205 acre alternate area both contain solar panels, which would be a total of 850 acres of fenced area, the maximum panel coverage would not exceed 63%, which is under the maximum allowed of 65%. Going on to the next question, there was a comment made that stated amount of liability insurance did not seem adequate. And the question was that can the amount of required insurance be increased from the minimum stated in the UZC? And staff's analysis is that the zoning code has provision that throughout the duration of the construction life and decommissioning of any scale of SECS, applicant shall maintain appropriate liability insurance as reasonably determined by the appropriate governing body. for the SECS facility and provide proof of coverage prior to the issuance of any permits for construction or development. And then it lists the amounts that are at least minimally required. The applicants have stated that insurance would be maintained that meets the requirements. The applicants provided a certificate of liability insurance valued at $27 million in coverage. The applicants state that their insurance provider ensures that the stated coverage provides the necessary coverage to meet the standards in the zoning code. They further state that they will have to provide property all risk insurance to cover the replacement value of the project in order to obtain financing for the project. The property all risk insurance is separate from the required liability insurance policy. The MAPC can recommend a condition of approval to the governing body that a higher amount of liability insurance be required if the amount is considered reasonable. Moving on to the next question, the MAPC had multiple questions regarding the tax information provided by the applicant, especially in reference to the community impact assessment, addressing the impact of the proposed SECS in the immediate vicinity, as well as the greater area. Staff's analysis is the following. Regarding employment opportunities, the community impact assessment measure projected employment by job years and not how many individual jobs were created. A job year is one job held for 1 year. An individual employee working a job for 3 years contributes 3 job years. The total number of job years includes a summation of facility construction, employee per diem, operations, landowner payments, local government spending, and lost agricultural production. During the first construction period, the project is anticipated to have a cumulative impact of 333.4 job years in Sedgwick County and an additional 358.9 job years of indirect impact in the state of Kansas. If a job year is the number of jobs held for a certain number of years, the 1-year construction period is anticipated to have a cumulative impact of 333.4 jobs in the Sedgwick County and a cumulative indirect impact of 358.9 jobs in the state of Kansas. Following the construction phase, the 30-year operations period is anticipated to have a cumulative impact of 394.8 job years in the county, an additional 390.3 jobs for the state. If a job year is the number of jobs held for a certain number of years, the 30-year operation period is anticipated to have a cumulative impact of 13.16 jobs in Sedgwick County and a cumulative indirect impact of 13.01 jobs in the state of Kansas. The applicant projected the net value added that contemplates the loss of agricultural production on the land. During the first year construction phase, the loss is estimated to be $196,400, but the overall net value is projected to be $38.9 million. During the 30-year operations period, the loss of agricultural production is projected to be $5.8 million, but the net value to the county is to be $72.3 million. The community impact assessment identifies that the project would be exempt from property taxes pursuant to Kansas State Code annotated. The 20-year period following the tax abatement period is anticipated to generate approximately $7.5 million in property tax revenue, approximately $12.2 million for Clearwater USD 264, and additional tax revenue for other taxing jurisdictions like Ohio Township, Neneska Township, and Sedgwick County Fire District Number 1, amongst others. And lastly, the applicant can apply for and be granted a tax abatement for up to 10 years. This tax exemption applies to personal and real property. The classification of real property will likely change from agriculture to commercial. While agriculture is assessed at a higher rate, commercial is likely to generate a greater degree on tax revenue than current real property tax revenue. Because of Kansas law, that limits the appraised value that can be assigned to property devoted to agricultural use that do not exist for commercial real estate. County staff conferred regarding these questions and determined that the numbers given are reasonable to assume they are close to being accurate. The next item is about decommissioning. There were questions about the decommissioning plan. and whether there should be a timeline included that requires decommissioning to be completed once it is initiated for a portion of or for the entire project. There were also inquiries into if a surety bond or other method of assuring monies should be included regarding the decommissioning, so that Sedgwick County is not responsible for funding the decommissioning should the applicant be dissolved as an entity. So staff's analysis is that the zoning code actually speaks to several of these items, and I'll just kind of go through them. The first is that the applicants are required to maintain appropriate liability insurance, as we've kind of already discussed. Staff analysis is that applicants have stated that liability insurance would be maintained, that they are required to hold a personal property insurance policy separate from the required liability insurance. The next is that the applicants shall provide information and test results of any soil and groundwater testing required by the governing body or to the director of the Sedgwick County Department of Environmental Resources and Household Hazardous Waste. For groundwater, the required testing shall be submitted within 90 days of the substantial completion of any such phase of the decommissioning and reclamation plan and prior to the release of any financial assurance. Staff's analysis that these items are required throughout the life of the project, including at the decommissioning stage. The next item is that the applicant shall provide a SECS site and facility decommissioning and reclamation plan, which indicates the planned life of the SECS and the means by which the facility and its site will be decommissioned and reclaimed at the end of the life of the SECS. The decommissioning and reclamation plan shall provide that at the end of the project's life or any component of SECS, all or the appropriate portion of the site's equipment and access roads shall be removed from the site, and the site shall be returned to original condition or restored to such condition as to allow a use compatible with surrounding uses as determined by the planning department, or to such condition as agreed to by the landowner. Staff's analysis is that the applicant did provide a decommissioning and reclamation plan and stated the planned life of the SEC is a minimum of 30 years based on their shortest lease agreement. If leases are re-signed, the project life could extend up to 50 years. The next section is long regarding the code, so I will just kind of move on to the staff's analysis of all of the information in the zoning code. The regulations in the zoning code specify that there shall be a financial assurance and what the amount of said assurance shall be. The cost of the decommissioning and reclamation shall be recalculated every 5 years. If the new cost estimate exceeds the existing financial assurance, the applicant shall deposit additional surety. Any change of ownership of the SECS shall require notification to the appropriate governing body. All equipment, structures, photovoltaic panels, fencing, and cables or wires shall be removed within 12 months after the SEC ceases generation of electrical power. Additionally, the applicants have provided a draft decommissioning and reclamation plan that meets all of the above requirements. The applicants estimate the total decommissioning cost would be $276,810, not factoring in salvage value. The form of financial assurance would likely be either in the form of a cash in escrow or a surety bond. During the May 19th MAPC meeting, the applicants stated they were in agreement with all staff recommended conditions of approval, which included condition number 23, which requires that cash in escrow or a surety bond be provided within 60 days of approval of the governing body. The applicant provided additional information, an example of decommissioning costs for other projects in other states. This is listed in the staff report. I won't go over all of that, but it is there if you need to review. And then the next issue is the fire code review, compliance, and emergency response. During the May 19th meeting, public comment was received, which included information regarding the change in relationship between the City of Clearwater Fire Department and Sedgwick County Fire District Number 1. The City of Clearwater Fire Department provides emergency response to all properties within the Neneska Township. Neneska Township encompasses land bounded by West 71st Street South, West 119th Street South, South 215th Street West, and South 119th Street West. The majority of the subject site for the proposed SCCS project is within the Neneska Township, but a portion of the proposed project is east of South 119th Street West and is in Ohio Township. Fire District Number 1 provides emergency response to properties within Ohio Township, and attached in the staff report is a map illustrating the township boundary in relation to the proposed project area. On the date of this report, the Board of County Commissioners, sitting as the governing body for Sedgwick County Fire District Number 1, issued a notice of termination regarding the existing agreements for aid response between the two fire services. Providers within each jurisdiction as secondary response services. It is possible that the taxing subdivision will reach new agreement for such services, but no such agreement has been reached as of this date. Though Fire District Number 1 does not provide emergency response to all parts of the unincorporated area of Sedgwick County, if it is the responsible party for all fire code reviews, approvals, and compliance in the unincorporated area of Sedgwick County. So staff's analysis is that all fire code related elements is under the authority for review and approval by District Number 1. And regarding emergency response, condition of approval number 32 has been updated to include required coordination with the City of Clearwater Fire Department on the emergency response plan and provision of training and fire suppression materials. And then I believe lastly, number 6, there were questions and concerns related to the water required to clean the solar panels. It was asked how much water is required per cleaning, how often the panels need to be cleaned, and what was the source of the water. The applicant states that the panels are typically cleaned once every 2 to 3 years if the site does not receive adequate rainfall, and the total amount of water needed to clean the panels is 70,000 gallons of water for the entire acreage of the project area. Staff's analysis of this is that to compare the proposed water usage for cleaning the solar panels, the volume needs to be converted from gallons to acre feet, which is the typical measurement of water usage for field irrigation. The proposed use of 70,000 gallons to clean the solar panels equates to 0.215 acre feet of water for the entire acreage of the project area. This would be the volume of water used each time the panels need to be cleaned. If the land within the project area remained farmland and was irrigated, the Kansas Department of Agriculture limits water rights for field irrigation to 1.5 acre feet per acre each year. This would equate to 2,039.4 acre feet of water across the entire acreage of the property area. The allowable water usage for irrigation across the project area is approximately 9,500 times higher than the proposed water usage to clean the panels. The EPA estimates that an average family of 4 can use up to 100,000 to 146,000 gallons of water annually. The National Environmental Education Foundation estimates that the average water usage for a 2.5 person Kansas household is 67,000 gallons of water each year. A small 25 home subdivision requires over 1.6 million gallons of water annually, which is 45 times more than the project projects to use. The applicants have provided additional information stating that water would be provided by a truck or would be purchased from a local water entity, and the water used to clean the panels would not have any chemicals or other additives, as those are not required in order to clean the panels. And I misspoke. We have one more issue, noise abatement.
As a Dillon's pharmacist,
During
it's
the
important for us to help
meeting,
people manage their health
question was
beyond
raised
filling
regarding
prescriptions.
if and
With
how much
personalized care
noise
built
any of
around
the
you,
SCC equipment
we're here to answer
created,
questions,
SCCS equipment
catch what
created.
others might have missed,
The applicant
and help you
stated
save
that
money on
the
your
inverters
prescriptions.
do emit noise
Because
at a
it's not
similar
just about the
intensity as a
prescription,
residential air
it's about the
conditioning
person.
unit.
At
They
Dillon's,
continued by
we're more than
identifying that all
pharmacists.
inverters
We're
are
here to look out for
internal
you.
to the site.
Restrictions and exclusions apply.
That is
See
illustrated
pharmacy
on
or
the
our
site,
site for
the
details.
concept plan by the red boxes. They stated that the required 250-foot setback of the SCCS boundary to any dwelling unit, in combination with the distance between the project boundary and the internal portion of the site where inverters are located, should be sufficient to mitigate any noise emitted by the inverters. Staff's analysis of all of this is that the nearest inverter to a non-applicant dwelling is approximately 800 feet. The applicant provided the following additional information related to noise abatement for a project in the state of Wisconsin. That's listed in the staff report. I'm not going to go through that all, but it's there. So all the rest of the information has already gone over. So the staff does recommend approval of the application subject to the conditions listed in the staff report. I will note that there are some revisions. They are notified by red text in the report, and I'll just go over them very quickly. Number one, the term construction is identified as being considered to begin once the first array of solar panels has begun to be installed. Number three, a revised legal description is required prior to publication of the conditional use resolution to ensure the legal description matches the concept plan. Then we go all the way to number 32, which just adds the City of Clearwater Fire Department and Fire Chief to review and approve the emergency access response and training information. And then conditional use number 38, the applicant shall provide a revised legal description indicating the project area as illustrated on the concept plan. And number 39, the applicant shall enter into a decommissioning agreement with the county to be approved by the Board of County Commissioners that would run with the land, shall be recorded with the Register of Deeds, shall require that any provisions contained within the UZC and the supplementary use regulations be specifically contained within such decommissioning agreement, and that such decommissioning agreement would contain any other terms and conditions deemed appropriate by the Board of County Commissioners. So with that, I can stand for any questions. I will say this, as you know, is also Philip's case. I'm standing in for him as he's on vacation, so I might defer a lot to other staff members. But also, before we go any further, Scott, Director Wadle has some information that he would also like to convey.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brad. Yes, sir. Just a couple comments. There was a handout that was distributed to all of the planning commissioners. I wanted to provide some explanation on. The planning department was asked to provide you with motion options for this case. The motion options are general in nature, so if you use them, you may need to fill in some of the blanks. They do not change the planning department's recommendation and are intended as a resource for the planning commissioners. Two of the motions include maps. We've included those maps. We have them also available in the slideshow. I'm not planning to go through each of the motion options, but staff are available if there are any questions about those or the maps. Thank you.
I'll let the go through the additional handouts as far as the various motions, give you time to look at those. Brad, on page three, you're showing staff analysis that approximately $250,000 a year would be coming to Sedgwick County, and that's based on 7.5 million property tax revenue over a period of the life of the project, which is 30 years. Now, earlier, the last time we heard this, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that number initially shown by the projections from the applicant to be approximately $168,000 a year?
I will have to defer to either staff or the applicant on that one.
And then my other question I have is that regarding the additional red lines, those were additional items for the staff had put in, but they weren't based on any comments or from any comments that the commissioners asked, correct?
I believe that some of them were things like the fire department review. I can't necessarily speak. I think that many of them are very similar to a previous case that we've also listened to. So, you know, the definition of construction is included because of concerns about what that was. Getting a legal description based on the project area being confirmed. And then the last
We let
couple,
Portful save us time and money with
you know,
nutritious
getting
meals
the
delivered straight.
decommissioning agreement as well. So those are all related to concerns that the planning commission had at the first meeting.
Because I noticed on page 7, when you're talking about the water usage and stuff, where it says the applicant has provided additional information stating the water would be provided by a truck or would be purchased from a local water entity. To me, it doesn't say, provided by a truck. Again, going back to just hooking up to a hydrant. And I just think that, when you have treated water that we taxpayers already paid for, I think it should be spelled out on that. If they're going to use water from a hydrant, for example, if they're going to have to be metered, they're going to have to pay for it. I just don't think that the taxpayers should be stuck for 70,000 plus gallons. And I just wonder every 1 to 3 years, anytime you run a dirt road, I'm thinking that might be a little sooner than that. But of course, then again, it's been raining all year here so far, so that might take care of that problem. Any additional questions, Commissioner Austin?
Brad, just a quick question. I had asked the question relative to the inverter noise. And in your report here, you mentioned that the supplementary use regulations require a 250-foot setback from residential dwelling units. And just for a point of clarification, if the 250 is measured to the residential structure and not to the property line, would that be correct?
I believe so, yes. Director Riddle is indicating that, yes.
That's always been my experience. So, and then I guess the question is if the thought was that it needed to be 250 feet to the property line, or even as it's currently formed, does it need to be a separate recommendation for conditions of approval to note that specifically in there?
I'm going to defer to legal, but I'll take a first bite at it, which is because it's a supplementary use regulation. If you wanted to have something more restrictive, then you could. And yes, it would have to be a separate condition that would have to be added to the case as part of the motion.
And I concur with what Scott said.
Mr. Austin, any additional questions? Commissioner Mader?
Just a bit from my experience in construction, when you hook to a meter, according to the local ordinances, you're required to rent a meter from the city water department, which they read when you take it out. They read it when you bring it back, so you're paying for the water. It is metered. And if somebody's hooked up to a hydrant without that meter, they're stealing water, which happens a lot. But to be done according to law, it would be paid for.
Yeah, that's my whole point. It's one of them trust but verify things. Commissioner High?
Brad, on page 3 under tax information, I'm interested in what taxes are not eligible for abatement, because we keep talking about tax abatement, but there are some taxes that are paid.
I'm going to defer to other staff.
Thomas Henry, Assistant County Counselor. So there's a 10-year exemption available to all property used for renewable energy production, and that would apply to both the personal and the real property on which it is situated.
In a sense, all taxes that they would have been paid are abated for the 10 years.
Well, they're exempt for that 10-year period, yeah. So they wouldn't have to pay property taxes for the 10-year period starting the year after construction is complete. Yep.
Commissioner Austin, I just had a follow-up question on the counselor. I just had a follow-up question on that. And it maybe for you, maybe for Mr. Wagner. There was some discussion on this application and other application about the property tax exemption, and it benefits the county. And I didn't know in some other programs like IRBs, we have a pilot program where we do payment in lieu of taxes. And I didn't know if that was something that could be done with the county, if that was something that we need to address at the planning commission level, or that you would take.
Yeah, I'll field that question, Commissioner Austin. I guess first off, there's nothing in our zoning code that talks about or requires payment in lieu of taxes, contribution agreements, anything along those lines. At this stage, I think what I would say is if that would not be part of the Board of County Commissioners or the Planning Commissioners' consideration on this, that's not something that's been part of any consideration that I'm aware of on the county's end. And so I beyond that, I just said it's not part of a consideration as you're sitting in a quasi judicial capacity right now. But did you have any other questions, Commissioner Austin? That? Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Fry? Oh, excuse me, Commissioner High?
Brad, a question for you. Page 39, land use map. I don't know that we need to bring it up, you can, but here's my question. Is Clearwater has an area of influence area, and I was interested, yeah, thank you. I was interested in, does this property impede in the area of influence that Clearwater is defined?
It's my understanding that it does not. I might defer to Director Wadle.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. And Tybin, thank you for bringing up this map. So there are two maps that are important to this discussion. One is in the zoning code, and that is the urban areas of influence. This is an area that you're well aware of, that I'll explain for folks. This is an area where there's a formal notification process. If a zoning case occurs within this area, formal notification process to the city, whose zoning area of notification of influence it is, and then their planning commission has the opportunity to review a case and provide a recommendation to the county commission. The other map, type in if you could go to it, is the urban growth area map, and that is located in the comprehensive plan, and that's the one with the orange on it. So this is the area, in this case, for Clearwater, but other cities are also included. This is the area where the city has expressed an interest or the ability to service by the year 2035. So these maps are updated from time to time. And so when you ask the question about would this impede the growth of Clearwater at this time, so my answer to that would be at this time, this location is located outside of their urban growth area and outside of their urban area of influence.
But they wouldn't be able to grow but this gets approved, they're stuck with it, at least for 30 years. They could not expand their urban growth area.
Is that a question or a statement?
Yes.
Yes, both. Shoot. Well, since it is a question, what I would say is that it's probably best for me to defer to the city of Clearwater for an indication about whether or not this would impede with their growth.
Thank you, Director. Commissioner Fry?
Also depends on your definition of growth, I guess. It's editorial comment. Now, my question is, I understand the county put a restriction in that solar permits can't be within 2 miles of each other. Yet this is within 2 miles of the one that so how can planning staff make a recommendation for approval, knowing that was the county's policy?
And I'll defer some to Scott. I'll handle the legal end of it, which is at the planning commission level, as it sits today, and the recommendation the planning department was making on each of these cases, there are 0 approved as in by the governing body, the Board of County Commissioners, and finalized by publication resolutions for solar energy conversion systems large scale. So at this point, there aren't any, and doing that wouldn't be against it. Now, you're right that these two, I mean, of course, we drew a line and the line has now been proposed to be crossed by both of these two applications that are within the 2 miles in terms of how close they are to each other. Ultimately, for sure at the county commission level, they can't even waive this provision. In fact, there's a specific line in the code on that. So they would have to reconcile that difference. But I'd let Scott supplement that if he wanted to further. But I would say that I imagine that it was through an analysis on each of these cases and the application, the various factors that planning staff normally looks at.
Yeah, yes, sir. I would just add that it is a difficult spot to be in, as far as staff are concerned. And at this point, we did not know if one of these cases was going to get deferred or if it was going to be sent back or what the timing would be. So anything that we would put in there in terms of a reduction in any of the applications would kind of be a forecast in that. And at this time, since we have no locked in or approved project, so to speak, we did not do that clip.
So I get it. The county could still decide to reject the one that we already approved and could accept this one since it would be two separate permits that were approved by this body, if that was the case. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Austin, do you have any follow-up?
Yeah, just in a further point of clarification, Mr. Fry, I think should the county commission hypothetically approve the first one, it doesn't necessarily mean that the second application would be negated. The applicant would still have some options to withdraw the application, modify the application to comply. And so just so people are aware that that doesn't necessarily mean it would kill the second application.
We're just making recommendations, but the Board of County Commissioners has the final approval, changes, denial, whatever they want to do. Commissioner Dill?
So there's been a lot of talk about property tax relief or abatement, and there's been a lot of communication about what the benefit of this is to the taxpayers and to the county financially. And if there is a 10-year abatement on the taxes, if I understand this right, there's not going to be any property taxes paid on this to the income benefit of the county for 10 years. Is that correct?
There would be no property taxes paid to the county or any of the political or the taxing subdivisions in this area for that period of time, yes. There may be other sales tax or things of that nature that could come into play.
Commissioner Mader?
Clarification on that tax abatement. That'll be for the property owned by the utility company, but the land, will it not be now assessed at a commercial rate rather than a residential rate and pay at the commercial rate and will not be abated for 10 years, or will that also be abated?
So the 10-year exemption, in talking to the Property Valuation Division of the Kansas Department of Revenue, the exemption is going to include both the land and the personal property for that 10-year period. Now, after that 10-year period, the land would no longer be considered ag land, and you would get the benefit or the increase in the tax revenue associated with it being commercial land and the increase in valuation that would come with that for the remainder of the life of the.
This is so different than what I had thought and what we talked about previously. I want to repeat it so I'm sure I understand it correctly. So the farmland today is paying taxes at ag rate.
Correct.
But over the 10 years, the farmland will be not charged any tax over that 10 years.
Correct.
As is part of the utility.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Commissioner Austin?
Yeah, just a follow-up question on that too. I believe during the course of our hearings that neither of the applicant has indicated that they were in fact going to ask for that exemption request, but does that exemption, is that something they have to request prior to construction? Well, let me finish. Prior to construction, is there, in other words, is there a time limitation? Does it have to be before they start construction, or this is supposedly a 30-year operating project? Can they ask for 10 years anytime within that 30 years?
So the exemption, let me look at the statute exactly, because I believe it starts 1 year after the completion of construction, but I want to make sure I'm giving you accurate information. Yeah, it shall be in effect for the 10 taxable years immediately following the taxable year in which construction or installation of such property is complete.
And if they don't ask for it within that window, then they're precluded from asking for it?
There's no limitation on when they have to submit the application. The application could not be submitted until it's complete, or I guess it could not be granted. They could submit it before it's complete, but then the Board of Tax Appeals would not grant that until after the construction is complete. Yeah.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? If not, again, this is a non-public hearing. So we will bring it back to the commissioners if there's any further discussion. If not, again, you have staff has passed out potential motions for your review. The first option is to approve the conditional use per staff recommendations. Second option is to deny. Third option is to approve a conditional use with modified conditions. Fourth option is to defer to a later meeting. Fifth option is to approve the conditional use with proportional 2-mile separation that you have maps on. I believe that's map A, if I'm correct. And the sixth option is that you can approve the conditional use with the TED only modification, which would be the map B. So if there is no more further discussion, I will entertain a motion.
I have some discussion, another question.
Commissioner Mader?
Often when we are making a motion and we're doing it subject to comment, staff comment, we will ask the applicant, do they agree with the comments by staff or do they disagree? So if we were to include this map, to me, that would be a substantial change in what staff has proposed at this time. And I would like to see what the applicant has to say about it.
Would that not open it up to public hearing?
Just to clarify your question, Chairman, no, that at this point you've closed the public hearing, but it doesn't mean you can't ask the applicant questions, which I think is what's being asked here. I think that's permissible. That's different than a full-scale public hearing. You've already had that and opened it and closed that, but you can ask questions to the applicant at this stage.
Okay, Counselor, thank you for that information.
If I could, sir.
Director Wado?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mader, you had indicated a map. I just wanted to get clarification on which map you meant.
Since we just saw this, I'm not all that familiar with them. The map we saw a couple of weeks ago showed, let me find it, which one it is. Working my way to it.
If you'd like, sir, actually, maybe it would be helpful for everyone to see the maps and I can go through them and explain what they are.
Could we put the map on?
I think that would be great.
Map A,
Okay.
map B. Map A first, I think.
So, sir, well, the first one is, this is the map of the project area and the application. That was that green and red map that you saw. This map is a map that you have seen before. It may look familiar. This was the map that was presented or distributed at a prior zoning case. And what it does is it shows the distance that aqua line running through the middle is the distance that is in between the two projects, the middle point between those two projects. And it's not a perfectly straight line, but it's close. And then what we did is we buffered that with 1 mile on each side. So that purple kind of bubble shape shows the area of both solar projects that would need to be excluded if they were going to maintain that 2 mile separation distance, which is required by the Unified Zoning Code. And that is map A. The next map then is map B. And this was put together to show what the 2 mile buffer around the other solar project looks like and how much of the current application that you're considering right now is included within that or would be within that. So this is a 2-mile buffer that is around the other conditional use application area. And you can see the area in green, which is highlighted, which is the area or portion of this application area that lies within 2 miles of the other project. And that is map B.
Commissioner Fry?
Director Wade, do we have a 2-mile buffer for this permit showing where the other one, how it affects?
Not at this time. We could, unfortunately, we would not have that available for this meeting though.
I guess we're here to judge this permit and this application only, whether or not there's a 2-mile buffer or how it affects each other. Since that one isn't approved, it doesn't really factor into our decision. I mean, according to what the counselor said earlier.
Yeah. What I would say, and I'll clarify a bit, Commissioner Fry. And first off, I know the first time you guys would have heard this case, I cautioned. Part of the caution was, and there have been comments today to this effect, that this wasn't just one application versus the other. And it could be, certainly, and there's been discussion of that. But as is being talked about on maps A and B, there could be alternatives where that 2-mile separation exists in these applications. You guys always have an option when a zoning case comes in front of you to rezone 20 acres to only rezone 15 acres. That's an option. It's the same case here, just more complex because of this 2-mile bubble that has to exist because of the code. But you still have a duty to review each of the cases on the golden factors. But part of my concern that I expressed in those meetings was to make clear that that wasn't just you can only choose one or you have to choose one over the other. It's not just a competing race between the two. I think you can, as a planning commission, if you want to. You don't have to, but you could say you want to take actions. And there's map B can do this. Map A certainly cannot. But you could say, well, I want to make it to where the Board of County Commissioners has consistent items that they could consider. So map B gives you the ability, in theory, if you would adopt that, to where they wouldn't be in conflict with that 2-mile provision. But I would say also to the planning commissioners, you don't have to do that. Ultimately, the county commissioners are tasked with making that decision in the end on if they're going to approve either of these, any one of them, both of them. And if they would approve both, they can approve them as they're both applied for. I hope that helps. It puts you guys in a difficult spot, certainly the county commissioners later as well. But that's some of the thought process here. I hope that helps in your evaluation.
Commissioner Mader, did you have a follow-up?
No, back to my request, if it would be appropriate to ask the applicant, are they okay with the recommendations of staff or of what could be if we were to project map A? I mean, we do it regularly when we ask applicants, are they okay with the changes we've made in the?
I'm only looking, is that a legal question that you're asking me, or you're asking fellow commissioners or planning staff? I didn't know it was directed to.
I believe you said it is okay for us to do it.
It is legally.
Well, what does the commission think of it? Or should we?
To ask a question.
Mr. McShaughnessy, I think Robert's rules could cover that request. He can simply make a motion to take testimony and we as planning commission can vote on it. It's assuming somebody seconds it.
Well, I'll just cut to the chase. If you have a question for the applicant, go ahead and.
Mr. Chairman, I object to that as a point of order. We've already had legal representation caution us about opening up to a public hearing. And while I appreciate Mr. Mader's concerns and I kind of share those, I mean, it does open up the possibility, if I understood you right.
And I'm afraid that I didn't come across clearly enough on that, Commissioner Austin. I would want to clarify. You had a public hearing and you closed it. And so, but I think the board or the planning commission always retains the ability to ask questions. And that's different than a public hearing where anyone and everyone who has an interest in the case can show up and talk. And so I think you've often had situations where it's not even part of the rebuttal time or the presentation time, but where the planning commission can ask the applicant questions after the matters back to the planning commission. So I think that's possible for you all.
Commissioner Boston, that's how I interpreted it too, that we could ask. we're not opening it back up to the public. That's why I asked earlier if it would, and the counselor stated that it would not be inappropriate for any of the commissioners to ask the applicant a question. Okay. So having said all that, Commissioner Maynard, do you have a question you would like to ask the applicant?
Yes, if I could, please. You've seen this map A that would, if we were to adopt this map in regards to your application, we would be carving your application back to the limits of that 2-mile separation line. As the applicant, do you see that as something that's significant that you would be required to remove your request, or is that something that you would be able to operate under?
Sure. So Commission Ian Edwards, TED Renewables, it's good to see everybody again. Appreciate the time. I would certainly want to take this back to our team. What I can say is that it would not change our commitment to the project. Obviously this commission has a decision to make, and we would evaluate the will of the commission and do our best to work under the confines of that decision. But no, it would not change our commitment to the project, whatever map the commission decides to choose. And I think I would be interested to, and it may not need to be addressed here, but get council's opinion of, since we do not have, as council stated, an approved project, what would the flexibility be if the other project was not approved and ours was? That's just an open question I think we would have as the applicant. But again, just reiterate, whatever decision the commission makes here won't change our commitment to the branch line project.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for the applicants? Commissioner Warren?
Well, we've got 11 members here and trying to flesh out where we're at. I'm going to start off with a motion to adopt the findings of the planning department staff, approve the requested conditional use with the conditions recommended by staff on the June 25th report.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion for approval per staff recommendations and comments from Commissioner Warren, and we have a second by Commissioner Mader. Any additional comments? Saying none, I will call a vote. All Director Waito, you want to do a hand count?
If we could, sir, roll call is easy for us.
Okay.
Aldrich,
No.
Zimbelman,
No.
Fry,
Yay.
Mader,
Yes.
McKay,
No.
Dool,
No.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
High,
Yes.
Klontz is absent. Warren,
Yes.
Joe Johnson is absent. Austin,
Yes.
Williams Bay is not participating. And we have a vacant position. The vote is 6-4. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. That concludes that. Now what we will do before we're going to adjourn out of the. Yeah, we're going to take it. Let's take a 5-minute. Can we take a 5-minute break? Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break to help everything clear out.
We're doing with solid-waste of the South Transit Administration.
It is for the BZA case.
But apparently it's all. So.
Okay.
There was huge. And also,
It's that comment.
Yeah, so I was listening.
Okay, we're going to resume our planning commission meeting. We are going into the BZA item. It's my understanding that the agent or applicant is here. And so that would be for the BZA 2026-00042. Brad.
Yes, thank you once again, Brad Etherly, MAPD. This is case BZA 2026-00042 that we are discussing. We have already heard this case as well. And so I won't go into a great amount of detail, but the applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the required width of a residential design manufactured home on property zone TF3, two-family. It's a 0.148 acre property that's located at 1306 North Wabash Avenue, and the site is currently vacant. The applicant is requesting the variance in order to install a residential design manufactured home on the site. And there are some regulations for residential design manufactured homes in the UZC, one of which is that the minimum dimensions of one would be 22 body feet in width. And the applicant is requesting to reduce that to 18 feet. All other aspects of the definition and regulations would be met according to the applicant. And so we did go over each of the 5 criteria at the previous meeting. Staff finds that the criteria are not being met, so we do recommend denial of the variance. However, should the Board of Zoning Appeals find that the request meets the 5 criteria to grant the variance, then it is suggested that the BZA adopt alternative findings and grant the variance with the conditions that are listed in the staff report. And I can stand for any questions that you might have.
Any questions for staff? Commissioner Williams-Bay?
Brad, I probably asked this question at the last meeting that we had, but has the mobile home been purchased?
So I will defer to the applicant. That was one of the questions that was asked. I do not know the answer, so I'll defer to the applicant.
Thank you.
Commissioner Zimmerman, is that your question? Okay. Any additional questions? Seeing none, the agent or applicant, please. Sir, if you state your name and address for our records, we appreciate it.
My name is James Bilson. I live at 1020 South Pershing in Wichita, Kansas. And I've owned this property for several years at 1306 North Wabash. And what we did, we purchased this home. And it's a manufactured home. It's a 2023 vision, total electric. And when we purchased it, I guess I went in downstairs asking for the permits and stuff, and they approved everything. And so we were thinking we were okay. So we run the water line, we run the sewer line, we're in the middle of running the foundation. This home is going to be on a permanent foundation. And once you put it on a permanent foundation, you fasten the home to the foundation. It's no longer a mobile home, it's considered property. And I guess that's about all I've got to say, because I thought we were okay. But then when I got notice of it, and I came in and talked to people downstairs, and they said, well, we made a mistake, which anybody can, said your home is not wide enough. And I said, well, what do we do? Well, I asked for a variance. So I came up on the second floor for a lot of documentation for a variance, so we could put this home there. When I first came in, I bought the blueprints for the home, the pictures of the home. It's a wood home, shingle house. If I put it on the foundation, you know, it's not a home. It looks like a mobile home. And it's got a porch. It's got, I don't know, I just know that, that's about it. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
When you went and got at that time when you got your permits and you showed a site plan and all that
Mhm.
with all the measurements on there, was that prior to you purchasing the home?
No, I had the home already purchased.
Prior to you get
To doing that. It sits in El Dorado, Kansas at, right now. And we're gonna move it there, but, see, we bought the home we bought the home at auction. And it's a very nice home. Thought I was getting a deal. But anyway, I thought, we'll just put it on a piece of property because I owned it forever. And, there's a little more to it than that, I guess. And, it would really improve the area a lot. I mean, it's a beautiful home.
So my question, I guess, is why didn't you check first on what the zoning requirements were and the regulations were for prior to purchasing the home?
Well, the thing is, I bought the home, and I didn't think about putting it on that piece of property at first. I was just gonna leave it where it's set and rent it out, or move it to Wichita to over on Greenwich and leave it there. But I thought, well, I didn't know it was that big a deal. And and then when I came in downstairs, I showed them everything I had. I showed them the proof, showed them the home. The two people there says, and she left the meeting, said, hey, let me check on something. And she come back, she says, okay, your home meets the requirements. That's what she told me. And then I go, oh, great, I got my permit. I got everything I need. So I ran the sewer line, the water line, with the foundation, and we got news that we needed a variance. So here I am.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Zimmerman?
I guess I didn't understand. Is the foundation put in now?
I stopped. The foundation cost $15,000, and I've got the contractor. We've got the forms. We got the iron and everything. We just didn't pour cement.
Okay. Do you agree with the accusation that you guys made a mistake on this?
Well, since you put it that way, well, the first thing I would say is I don't know how common this situation is. I get the sense that this is fairly unique because we haven't seen very many of these cases in the planning department. The second part is that we've got two departments that are actually working on this. We've got MABCD, which does the permits and they do the inspections and all of that. And then we have the planning department, which oversees the zoning code and platting and all of that. So we actually have two departments working on they're two different things, and we've got where these things overlap, and also a pretty unique situation in that it just doesn't happen that often. So could there have been a mistake? Certainly, there certainly could have been. Is this the process to resolve that or address that? Yes, this certainly is the one that comes to my mind anyway. So with that, I'm going to pause and I'm going to check and see if JR wants to add anything else. Get me out of the hot seat here.
I think you've extricated yourself fairly well, Director Willett.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was commenting that Director Wadle extricated himself from the situation fairly well.
Is there any additional questions for the applicant?
I don't want to say.
Saying none, thank you.
Oh, can I say something else?
Briefly.
Okay, briefly, is it on my permit that I was issued, I followed the rules. We ran the water line. It was signed off on that permit. The electricity, the pole which came in was signed off on that permit. So now the permit, it's expired, of course, and I can't get the permit again without this variance.
We appreciate your comments. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak?
I
Yeah,
did have one more question for that.
yes, Commissioner Austin.
I think when we heard this last time, there was a question about the fence. If you go to the street view, there's a screening fence along the property. And I think there was a question last time whether the structure was going to be behind that fence.
Behind that fence.
Okay, thank you.
That's a temporary fence right there. That's temporary. We put a 6-foot fence all around the property line. But that's temporary. And when the home goes in, that'll be gone. And we're going to put what we call, you see where where's the sidewalk? Anyway, we're going to bring a iron fence type looking thing out there. And it's going to be different anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Is there anyone from the audience that'd like to speak on this matter? Seeing none? Oh, yes, excuse me, I didn't see the. You got your name and address for record?
My name is Iden Gray, and I stay at 933 North West. I own the property adjacent north of that property. Now, here's the thing that the city is not aware of. I want him to put that building on that property. If you go and survey that property is not 50 feet wide. Because once you tear the houses down, every piece of property in that block going to lose 3 feet. So that's the issue that y'all not addressing. So on the grandfather clause, once that house left, if you don't allow him to put a house that's smaller on that property, you're just leaving a empty lot. Because see, that house never had a driveway. The driveway is on my property that's adjacent to it. So it would be in the best interest of my neighborhood for you to allow him to put that house there. If not, it is a dead lot.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the public who'd like to speak? Seeing none, I will bring it back for the commission for any comments or any motions.
Mr. Chairman, one quick question, point of clarification, just from plain staff, the reason for the variance is solely to reduce the actual building width? Did I read that right? So if he was doing the 22-foot building, he would be allowed to?
Yeah, so the Commissioner Austin, this is a manufactured home. So that is a defined use. It's a type of home. In the old days, they were mobile homes. RDMs, residential design manufactured homes, are a specific subtype of mobile homes. The city has to allow them where they allow single family dwellings, but they can put requirements on them. One of the major items that makes this a residential design manufactured home in its definition is the width. So whether this home's 18, 20, 22, 24, they're all manufactured homes. It must be a minimum of 22 feet to be considered an RDM, therefore allowed in a setting such as this. Less than 22 feet, it is by code simply a manufactured home, and it must then go into a manufactured home park.
And as a follow-up question, that's even if he fixes it on a permanent foundation and anchors it?
The width is inherent in the definition. That would be correct, and they do have to be on a permanent. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Any additional? Yes, Commissioner.
So JR, if it's less than 22 foot, I guess I'm not understanding. Is it still considered a manufactured home?
Yes, Commissioner Williams Bay, it would be a manufactured home. Under the code, it would not be a residential design manufactured home.
Okay.
That's what the ask is, to vary that minimum width. So essentially asking to continue to call it an RDM, a residential design manufactured home, without the minimum width necessary for it to be classified under the code as an RDM. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner McKay?
JR, that 22 feet have to be the full length of the building, or can it be an addition to the building that meets the 22 feet? What's a 10 by 22 and a 10 by 6 or 6? Utility room or something to make it 22 feet.
So an addition would have to be, so generally on manufactured homes, you can't put an addition on. On RDM, I believe you can if it meets all the codes, but it won't actually be part of the RDM because RDM's manufactured homes are built to the HUD code, Housing and Urban Development. They don't meet the building codes. The addition would meet the building code. That's a very cutting edge question, Commissioner McKay. I would say that the home itself would need to be the 22 feet to be considered an RDM.
Sign, so you're saying you gotta have the whole house?
Yeah, I've honestly never seen one that wouldn't be that way. So my thought at this point.
When I go to some of these parks and look and see, there's a lot of them that they've added rooms onto.
Yeah, yeah.
Commissioner Williams-Bey, and then I'll come to you.
Yeah, it's a question for staff.
Is there any other homes like this?
Is there any other homes like this in this area? And have we allowed something like this before?
I don't know if there are any RDMs in the area, Commissioner Williams-Bey. I haven't actually approved licenses in quite some time. I don't recall that there are any manufactured homes in the immediate area. Some areas of the city have an abundance of manufactured homes, south, southwest, some southeast. There weren't that many to the northeast. If you're asking, has this occurred before where someone's asked to vary the defined width of an RDM and have it still classified as an RDM? Not that I'm aware of. Okay. Doesn't mean it hasn't, but I'm not aware of it.
Thank you. Commissioner Dill?
So just to clarify, by virtue of the fact that we're considering this case, we do have the authority or the option to recommend a variance to the code, correct?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Austin?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to make a motion and move forward with this. Move that we approve the variance subject to the findings. Criteria number one, request is unique to this property. It was not created by the applicant. I concur with staff's comments on that. Two, granting of the variance will not adversely affect the rights of the adjacent property owners and residents. I disagree with planning staff on that. Or pardon me, that granting of variance will not adversely affect the rights. I disagree with staff on that. I don't find, when you look at the housing up and down Wabash, I don't believe that this will be adverse. The building to the north is a triplex, is long, narrow axis on it, it's facing the street, and it's long depth. Variance requests item 3, strict application of provision codes would constitute an unnecessary hardship on the applicant. I concur with staff that does not or would not. However, on items 4 and 5, I disagree with staff that the variance will not adversely affect public health, safety, and others. I think granting the variance will not adversely affect public health, safety, and 2, granting the variance will not be opposed to the general spirit intent of the code, and I find that it does not violate the general spirit intent of the code.
Yeah, Director Riddle?
Yes, sir. If I may, I'm going to look to legal to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but variances are different in nature from the zoning cases that you see often. And so in order for variance to approved, you have to find that all 5 of the criteria are met.
That's correct.
Okay, so let me modify my motion, and I would say that they would all findings aren't. Do I need to be more specific on items 2 and? Sorry about that. Ground variance will is unique to the property. I believe it is unique to the property and was not created by the applicant because it's narrow in an older section of town. And item number 3, strict application provisions code would constitute an unnecessary hardship on the applicant, and I believe it does create an unnecessary hardship on the applicant.
So Commissioner Austin, basically what you're saying, that the Board of Zoning Appeals can find that all five conditions necessary for granting the variance exist and can approve the requested variance, correct?
Correct.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Austin, and we have a second by Commissioner Warren. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we will call the vote. All supportive of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that's 10-1, is that correct? Motion has passed 10-1. Voted again. Now we will recess out of the BZA and we will go back to the public hearing items. The first item on the agenda coming back in is item 5.1, conditional use 2026-00038, which is an accounting. Let's see, and Sam, this is going to be yours.
Good afternoon, Samuel Dietz, presenting planner. Conditional use 2026-00038 is a request for recreation and entertainment outdoor on rural residentially zoned property. Property is approximately 65 acres and located just south of 53rd Street North. Purpose of the request is to allow agritourism, primarily in the fall months. The proposed site plan would fall within this recreation and entertainment outdoor category and include space for a corn maze, pumpkin field, bounce pillow, hamster wheels, playground, petting zoo, and pony rides. As you can see in the staff report, there are 6 supplementary use regulations associated with recreation and entertainment. The character of the neighborhood is rural and low density residential. Properties to the south and east are zoned SF20 and RR and are undeveloped or used for single family dwellings. Property to the west is within the city of Mays and is currently undeveloped but developing and intended for low density residential uses. Properties to the northwest are zoned RR and used for agricultural purposes, and properties to the northeast are within the city of Mays and developed with commercial uses. This case was heard by the MAPC on April 9th, where approval was recommended for the conditional use. 6 members of the public spoke with concerns regarding the request, including noise pollution, drainage, and traffic. After the approval was granted, planning staff determined that not all property owners within the required notification area had been properly notified. Therefore, this case had to be re-advertised and heard today. The subject site is not platted. Platting would not be required for the proposed use. There are no other zoning cases associated with the site. As far as public services are concerned, the site has access to West 53rd Street North, which is a paved county arterial with open ditches on each side. The site uses well water and sewer will be an on-site septic system. Requested conditional use is in conformance with the community investments plan, which identifies the area as agricultural or vacant. The applicant is proposing outdoor recreation and entertainment on an existing agricultural property. If we could go to the site photos, please. This is looking south towards the site where the applicant has indicated they will provide a new driveway entrance. This is looking north away from that new driveway entrance. This is looking east away from the new driveway. This is looking west away from the new driveway. This is looking southeast from the center of the site. This is looking east from the center of the site. And this is looking southwest from the site. As mentioned, there were 6 public comments received at the previous meeting. In addition, staff have received 9 public comments in recent days, and you should have those in front of you, or at least one that it was a standard format. I've also received the 11 protest petitions that were completed after the previous approval but never submitted, given that the case had to be re-advertised. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Yeah, Commissioner Fry.
Thank you. Sam, can you go back to the first map and show us the areas that did not receive the original notification?
The area where the new driveway would be, which is that part that sticks up to the northeast of the site, that was not included in the legal description, and so it would have been a property to the northeast of there that was not notified.
So just the properties to the north were not identified or notified, I mean?
From my understanding.
Okay. And have they weighed in with public comment since they've been re-notified or since they've been notified?
I have not verified the addresses of the public comments I received.
Oh, maybe they're here
Those
today.
were-
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions for staff? Yeah, yes, Commissioner Zimmerman.
Sam, what was the purpose of coming up with the alternative suggestions here?
I'll defer to Director Wadle.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, the alternatives, it was because, well, here's the issue is that there had been quite a few comments at the last meeting. I felt like there were some options to help address some of the comments. However, in our process, because this case had already been reviewed by our internal committee, unfortunately, we bypassed our usual review process because we had already developed the staff report, and so we issued it. As a director, I felt like it was important to give the Planning Commission an alternative that would include some options to address some of the comments that we heard. So that's why this week we issued the revised staff report, which includes that alternative. Now, I do want to indicate, though, that our recommendation is not changed. This is just merely another alternative, another option for you to consider.
Okay, but Director, when we first approved this, with the original 5 conditions, we heard all the comments back and forth for the public and everything else, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we made our decisions based on what we heard at that time, based on, and, with the 5 criteria. So I have a problem with the fact that we've already made that decision. And then since there was I guess maybe a little bit of a loophole of notification on that, and that didn't generate any additional opposition, but it also, I don't think we should have had any of these additional 4 criterias added on after we heard the case and after we voted on the case. If you understand what I'm saying.
I do, yes, sir. And I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions, concerns, comments? Commissioner Austin?
Just a clarification though, and I appreciate and agree with much of what you said. The only thing that the discussion that we had before, that is not real for consideration today, correct? This is just a brand new hearing. It has to stand on its own merits, and while it may be painful to have to go through all the discussion again that we did in the first hearing, we're obligated to do that, correct?
Yeah, it's a public hearing again, so
Yeah,
it's a brand new case, correct?
Yes, Justin Weiner, County Councilor, Commissioner Austin, to your question, yes, this is a new public hearing, an opportunity for the public to provide input as they see fit. I don't believe you as planning commissioners are prohibited from considering the discussion that had occurred before. That did occur. There was a discussion on those items. But I think that to afford all the property owners in the 1,000-foot notice area the opportunity, they have that chance today to provide additional input. But I think you should, and again, renew your analysis under the golden factors today, analyze this planning case as you see fit under those factors, and then make any recommendation that you deem appropriate.
And I appreciate that. It just seems to me that the goalposts were moved a little bit, and I just have an issue with that. That's just me. if there's no other questions or comments from the commissioner, we will open it up to the agent or applicant.
Thank you. Kim Edgington, PSC Consulting, 144 North Emporia, Wichita, Kansas. Just want to clarify from this ownership list issue to start with. The title company has confirmed that there was only one additional owner on the revised ownership list. If you can go to a larger view, I can show you where that property is. I guess there's not a pointer here. And as far as I know, staff has not received any communication from this one particular property owner that was not originally notified. To the northeast of the property, there's a property that's got a little blue outline. That is a sand pit. That property is the only property that was not originally notified, and the new ownership list just barely clipped the bottom the bottom corner of that property. So otherwise, the ownership list was exactly the same. The only thing we did was we expanded the conditional use to actually include the entire property, rather than just the property that was being used for the current plans. So that in the future, if there is ever a need to adjust or amend, it's already over the entire property. So some things just to, because officially this is a brand new public hearing. My clients have purchased the property involved with a pumpkin patch from a previously existing business that was operating as an agritourism industry, which is technically not even required to have a conditional use. We simply decided that it made sense to come before this board, come before the county commission to make sure that everything was handled in an entirely legal way, so that in the future there were never any questions about the legality of this use, and to have it memorialized, to have resolutions and everything in place. So the layout, if we can go to, I think maybe there's a site plan, you can see does not take up the entire property. It has your typical fun kid uses like a corn maze and a pumpkin field, the petting zoo and bouncing things, all of the things that we love to take our kids and grandkids to in the fall. So we are asking for you to consider this as a conditional use. There's already significant separation from the property to the west, which is platted as the Coves Edition. In the city of Mays, there is a street that is platted with a 60-foot right-of-way to the west of this, and there is an existing substantial tree line along that property as well. So already some built-in very nice separation. We do want to clarify that the site plan is going to not include any paving, because one of the standard conditions for a outdoor recreation and entertainment is that parking areas, driveways be paved. We don't feel like it's in anyone's best interest that any of this property be paved, that we want to keep it in as natural of a state as possible. That adds to the appeal of a use like this, and gets people out and enjoying the countryside, and gets kids out in front of their iPads and devices, and provides them a great family entertainment option. And I will be glad to stand for any questions that you might have at this point.
Commissioner Zimbelman.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
You mentioned this tree line along there. Do you have any idea where the property line is between these two properties in relation to that tree line? Who owns the trees?
The tree line is, for the majority, on our property. there may be a few trees that are offset a little bit, but almost entirely on the subject property of my clients.
Okay, if you were to take the site plan and lay it down on the piece of ground that it's supposed to be on, how far would the corn maze be from the property line?
It's approximately 200 feet, the edge of the corn maze.
Okay.
If you look, yeah, if we're looking at that site plan there.
So you're saying the new street that's going to be put in for the
Mhm.
houses will be 200 feet from the edge of this?
Well, no, the west edge of the street would be at least 200 feet from the corn maze.
You think that's enough?
Well, considering that there's also a substantial tree row in there that, and the corn maze is not where a majority of any of the activity is. I mean, it's a field of corn, essentially.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. It's a square, almost a square box. Where's it gonna be in relation to the whole site? Is it way down at the bottom?
No, if it's going to be, if you look, I'm sorry that there's not, can I approach I mean, or is there there's no mouse
Yeah, here,
I haven't carried a laser pointer with me for years.
If the planning commission's okay with it, since there's not a mouse, staff are comfortable with you approaching and pointing it out, as long as the planning.
Touch mic with you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Use the mic to point.
Yeah. So the corn maze is going to be approximately in this location right here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, you need to go to the mic, please,
This is Gerald Woodard, property owner.
and state your name and address.
Gerald Wood, property owner at 7820 West 53rd North. Right here is the boundary of the corn.
And can you give him the mic, please? Yeah.
Right here is the boundary of the corn. Right here to here to here, right there. That little square. It's approximately 1.2 acres.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Can I make one more statement?
Steal your microphone.
Was mine.
So, my comment is, this is a really nice development next door to this. And depending on how much stuff gets so close to that property line, there could be some of these lots that nobody's gonna want, which would be a disaster for the developer.
Well, those lots back up to the lake, though. So none of the properties that are platted to the west back up to this property.
I understand that.
Right. And given the type of use it is, the fact that the conditional use is not required because the state of Kansas has recognized this as a use that they are trying to encourage and is going to frankly be a true amenity to this entire community and something that this neighborhood to the west can certainly take advantage of and be a benefit for the proximity that they're just right next door. It is a family oriented development that this particular use will serve quite well.
Okay, well, my final comment is that I'm all for property rights. That's why we're here, but I think we have to be neighborly also. I mean, just like you live next door to your neighbor, these two landowners live next door to each other. And I would hope that the Woodards take that into consideration when they plan on doing stuff and
And that was, the site plan was set up so that the majority of the activity and the things that are a little more crowded areas are as far away as possible from the property to the west. The corn maze is a very low intensity type use. It's almost, an individual user. It doesn't congregate a lot of people in that area. So that was made the most sense to have that in the location that it is, so that it would have the least negative effect possible on the property to the west.
Okay, I'll yield to Mr. Williams Bay.
Commissioner Williams, and then we'll go with Commissioner Fry.
Yes, Kim, if I'm reading the map right, there's the North Lake Ridge Street is east of the tree line.
Is west of the tree
Well, I'm
line.
sorry, west of the tree line.
Yes.
Then we have the tree line, and then we have the maze.
Right.
So
Approximately 200 feet.
200,
past
and that includes the street.
No, that would not include the street.
Okay. So it would be like 260 feet?
Yeah, at least.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Fry?
Thank you. And I will, first off, say I was not at the original hearing, so these are new questions because I was not here at that. And I understand the intent for the conditional use for the recreation and entertainment. It still feels like a commercial property to me. I understand that it has been ag, and with the intended use, I'm really concerned about the hours of operation. So my question to you is, have you seen the staff's recommended alternative options, and are you in agreement with them?
We have seen those. We received that information on Tuesday. We don't disagree that hours of operation can be very important for a use like this. However, we don't believe that the hours that staff recommended are in compliance with what is generally accepted. So we would ask to tweak those just a little bit. We've not seen a use like this be subjected to such an early closing time as 8 o'clock, as what they recommended on this during weekdays and 10 o'clock on weekends. That is atypical for a use like this. Not familiar with any other type of uses that have been subject to that. So we would ask to adjust those somewhat.
Along those same lines, it's very specific about your site plan and the things you have, the pumpkin ride or the pumpkin rides.
Yeah.
That's another alternative use. The corn maze, the pumpkin patch, etc. If you decided to expand those uses to haunted rides or haunted field of screams, would that have to come back for a conditional
Yes,
use?
it would come back as an amendment to the conditional use. So we would have to go back through the public hearing process again.
So what's in here now, it'd be limited to corn maze, pumpkin field, bounce pillow, hamster wheels, playground, petting zoo, and pony rides.
Yes.
And that's probably why the hours, I'm guessing, were in the secondary conditions because it's more children oriented. I can't imagine children being out past midnight for pony rides, but.
Well, no. But there are also maybe summertime activities where,
But that would be different than what's being listed here. Right now, it's very specific about what's being listed.
they could still have they could have the corn pit, they could have kids' birthday parties. The site itself would still be allowed to act as outdoor recreation. It's not limited to only certain months or seasons of the year. So if we think about summertime evenings, if we're subject to 8 o'clock in the evening, there's still a lot of daylight after 8 o'clock in a summer evening. So that is the intent of asking for that.
And if there were ideas that were above and beyond this that would utilize other parts of the site property, that would have to come back for a conditional use approval as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So any additional structures or buildings or, venue to anything like that would have to come back as an amendment.
Thank you.
Commissioner High?
Commissioner Fry stole my question. But I'm going to ask you, so what tweaking do you have on number 8 for the hours?
We would ask that the Sunday through Thursday closing hours be 10 o'clock and the Friday, Saturday be midnight. Yes. For instance, the property where all of this equipment came from, they would have like a mom's night out, where, it might go a little bit later on a weekend night. So, still using the same footprint of area, but just some other varied uses.
So just to clarify, excuse me, what you're looking at on the hours for the outdoor use shall end at 10 p.m. And then on, with the exception of Friday and Saturday be midnight?
Yes.
Is that correct?
10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday.
Sunday through Thursday. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
Well, yes, you can.
Well, thank you, sir. To Commissioner Fry's question about the uses site plan, there's a condition that if approved, that the use complies with an approved site plan. The conditional use is for recreation, entertainment, outdoors. This is a mixed use. The agent is correct. Some of these uses would be covered under our code doesn't use that term, but under agritourism, and would not need a conditional use. But some of the uses do need a conditional use. It's going to be for the whole property. As a rule, if it's just a site plan change, we would consider that normally by administrative adjustment. So I'm saying that to say if there is a desire that any change that would affect the site plan be brought back to this body, I would recommend that be a specific condition, that any changes to the site plan or any inclusion of any new uses would come back in the form of an amendment.
But it can't be done administratively, correct?
As a rule, if site plans, yes, can be administratively adjusted.
So then why would you suggest that it come back here to this body if it can be done administratively?
Because I thought I was hearing a concern that there might not be some type of overview. That was the question I heard about it coming back. And I thought I heard the answer was yes, it would have to come back as an amendment when it wouldn't necessarily have to come back as an amendment. If there's a desire by this body to have that happen, I would recommend a specific condition that says that. Otherwise, we would just handle it the way we normally would.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
In that case, we would ask that, minor changes to the site plan, say we want to switch out one, corn pit for a sandbox. We would ask that, minor changes could still be handled administratively, but changes in use or intensity would be required to be reviewed as an amendment.
Would that be acceptable?
Yes, sir. I believe it would. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any additional question, Commissioner High?
That seems to draw a question of who defines minor. So I'm not in favor of requiring that.
To answer the question, that'd be the most extremely reasonable zoning administrator and planning director. That's a question that comes up a lot in a lot of the conditions that we have, and someone makes that decision. It's an interesting question.
I mean, if you look at items that are typically allowed through administrative adjustment, those are fairly well defined in the zoning code. And if it falls in line with a generally accepted administrative adjustment, we would ask that be able to be administratively reviewed. And if not, if staff does not find that it is eligible to be reviewed administratively, that would bump it to the next category of a required amendment.
And I agree, that's where I was heading.
Yeah, Commissioner, we have asked the staff, to do administrative adjustments. A lot of stuff, we give them more leeway to do that. just so we take some of the pressure off the planning commission.
I mean, I think, in historically, staff has done a great job of determining what falls into the category of an adjustment versus what requires a higher level of review through the amendment process.
I'd like to make a motion.
We're not ready yet.
Oh.
Any additional comments? Commissioner Austin?
Yeah, just a point of clarification, Kim. So I think Commissioner High asked about the alternate conditions of approval, and you focused on the hours operation, which was item number 8, but there were 3 others. Item number 5, which talked about site lighting, which
We are in agreement
extending
with-
into the dark hours.
Yes.
Okay, you're okay with that?
Yeah, we are fine with that.
And then the site plan review, for review and approval, that is similar to item number 4, frankly. But we would need to modify, I think, the language in number 4 per the discussion that we had for minor modifications as determined by the zoning administrator with approval with the planning director. And then item 7, which was prior to obtaining a commercial building permit, the tract of land must be platted.
Which I believe the subdivision regulations would require that anyway. So it's kind of a moot point.
Okay.
We would like to clarify that any non-commercial building permits would not require platting, but I think that's.
JR.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Austin, technically, all adjustments are granted by the planning director with the concurrence of the zoning administrator. The zoning administrator's a veto power. So perhaps if you decide to later on, appropriate time, make a motion on, I think it was number 4, that you would have it in that order, if you would, please.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I always thought it was whatever I thought was the rule.
Well,
in the past. I did have a couple other questions for the agent, though, I'd like to finish up. Mr. Woodard got up and drew, kind of outlined the location of the corn maze, and just kind of roughing the dimension on my phone, it was roughly 150 feet from the west property line. Would you be open to a suggestion of a 150-foot setback to the west property line for any activities?
We would be.
Okay. And then secondly, Commissioner Zimmelman asked about the tree row, and those things are always very difficult. But I know the street on the adjacent property is platted right up to the property line, and being able to maintain them. But I guess I was thinking if there was, at least up until that point, if the applicant would be willing to maybe put a landscape easement over that west property line just to preserve the trees for whatever time that they can. I don't know with the setback if that's necessary, but it was just a thought I was having.
I mean, it's something that we could consider. There is, I believe, 3 feet between the edge of the right of way for the street and the neighboring property line, so that there is, because I'm sure you can ask their opinion, but it would be in their interest to keep those trees as well, if at all possible.
Any additional questions?
I guess a question for Commissioner Zimmelman, if you had anything along that thought process about that tree line. It's one of those difficult things. We see it all the time.
I believe the developer would be in favor of saving all the trees they can to create that buffer between what's going on and what's going on in his neighborhood. So,
I mean, we don't have any problem with, having basically a easement or a landscape buffer. I don't know, whatever mechanism you would choose to protect those. I mean, we want to keep the trees for sure.
Okay, if there's no additional questions or comments for the agent, is there anyone from the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Please state your name, address for our records.
Sure.
And if you have anything passed out, please get it to staff.
Sure.
Staff will pass it out.
Yeah, if you want to pull up the map I provided,
end of the case. It should be the same. If you'd like hard copies, I can give you this.
Teacher name, address, please.
Certainly. Brian Lindeback, MKEC Engineering, on behalf of the adjacent owners. Our biggest challenge with this case is that the site plan and the proximity to the neighboring property to the east and quite frankly, to the west and quite frankly to the south as well. If you looked at the site plan, they've only met 4 of the 12 requirements for turning in a site plan for a conditional use. There's a whole litany of things that weren't shown. It doesn't show it on the property, so there's no way of gauging how this fits within that whole scheme of 65 acres. I think we kind of ran into that problem already when we were trying to figure out where this corn maze was at earlier in the proceedings. Again, there's no title, there's no description on the site plan. So the whole point of the site plan is for the people in the future, when Mr. Wadle is not here, when Mr. Lindeback's not here, when all of these people aren't here anymore, it's good to understand what was approved without having to go back through and listen to all these minutes and try to figure out what was approved. So if this site plan is not accurate and not representative of what is being approved today, it's really, you might as well toss in the trash. It might as well be a Kleenex because it's worthless. So my big contention is that this site plan needs to be applied to the land so that you can see the proximities of where things are at. Our client would like to have the setback of 500 feet off of the property line because of all the outdoor entertainment activities going on. There's going to be kids, young kids running around. There's presumably different times of the day. It could be a bunch of screaming kids at night. That's pretty alarming if you are a homeowner and you don't understand what's going on. So we think there needs to be a setback. If this site plan is to be presented, I do think it should be presented at a planning commission hearing so that we can all see it and approve it. Right now, it's just a chicken scratch on a napkin for that matter. And it seems premature to approve this case without it being more official. It leaves a lot to be questioned. There's no talk about where one of the things that's on the requirements is you're supposed to show floodplains. Well, as you can see on this map, there's lots of floodplain. There's a floodway that you have to cross just to get to the site. So there's a lot of challenges. And I know I'm running out of time, but I think if we were to update the site plan with the 500-foot setback in mind, and we provide for some setbacks, if we limit some of the activities to the eastern part of the property, it leaves them with 37 acres still. I think
back your time has run out.
Okay, I'd like just two more seconds if I could, just to explain one more thing. We do believe that security is an important part of this application, and we think that opaque fence along that western property line would be appropriate as well. And I think if these things are met, that the golden rules would apply, would work just fine with this case. We don't have any problem with the overall land use. We think it's great. We like the Woodards. We think they're great people. The big thing is if the Woodards aren't running this in the future, it leaves a lot of questions and a lot of things up there in there.
Question for you.
Sure.
The housing over on the west side right there, do you think they're going to sell any of those houses to anybody that's got any kids?
Yeah, very well could sell it to people with kids, and it could be an asset, but it could also be a detractor with people screaming and other things happening at different times of the day.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Commissioner High, you have a question for the speaker?
Yes. So what are the current restrictions within the property to the west on noise using the lake?
Well, this is in a different city. It's not in the city of Wichita. It's not in the city of Wichita or Sedgwick County. It's in the city of Mays. So you have to look at the city of Mays ordinances for those rules.
So you don't know.
I'm not going to speak to those items because that's not. Yeah.
So you were worried about the noise
Yeah, outdoor.
property, but
Yeah.
there are some noise using the lake, I would guess.
There's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no motorboating or jet skis on that lake. So if that's where you're alluding to.
Or parking.
Yeah, I mean, this is 65 acres is a huge piece of land, and that's a lot of outdoor activities. If you've looked through the list of things in outdoor recreation, driving ranges, amusement parks, those are all things that could be amended in the future. It's very important to protect the neighborhood.
Are there 4th of July activities allowed in that area?
I have no clue. I mean, there's 4th of July activities all over the place.
Okay, no questions for the speaker? Seeing none, does anybody else would like to speak on this? If so, please come to the podium and state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Terry, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Homeowners Association and the residents of the adjoining lake community. We appreciate the opportunity to comment on the conditional use permit request. We want to be clear that the homeowners are not opposed to agriculture. In fact, agricultural use of this property has been a positive part in this character in the area. The raising of horses and cattle have coexisted peacefully within our community. The community appreciates those operations. However, what is being proposed today is not simply an agricultural use. This request seeks approval for outdoor recreation and entertainment activities through agritourism. That represents a significant change in the intensity and character of the property's use. The neighboring community consists of approximately 390 home site communities surrounding a 60-acre lake. It was designed and developed as a high-quality lifestyle community where residents enjoy outdoor recreation, peaceful lake views, walking trails, and a quiet residential environment. Many homeowners have made substantial investments in their homes based on those expectations. The issue before the commission is whether converting a traditional agricultural operation into an outdoor recreation and entertainment value is compatible with an established residential community of this size and character. Outdoor entertainment uses bring impact that do not accompany normal agricultural operations. These impacts include increased traffic, larger gatherings of people, amplified sound, lighting, parking demands, dust, and activity levels that can significantly affect neighboring homeowners. If approved, such uses can expand over time and fundamentally alter the relationship between the property and surrounding residential area. The homeowners are not asking the commission to prevent continued agricultural use of this property. Rather, we are asking the commission to carefully consider whether a commercial outdoor entertainment venue is appropriate immediately adjacent to nearly 400 homes. Property owners certainly have the rights, but do have hundreds of families who invest in homes within the community. Good planning requires balancing those interests and ensuring these new uses are compatible with existing development. As a management company for this community, I believe I also have a unique perspective regarding the practical impacts that can result from uses of this nature. We regularly receive and address homeowners' concerns involving traffic, parking, noise disturbances, nuisance activities, and issues that affect the quiet enjoyment of their property. Based on our experience managing residential communities, we fully anticipate that these will be among the primary concerns expressed by homeowners if this application is approved.
Give me your time. Is there any additional speakers that like to speak? If so, now is the time to come back to the podium.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Philip David Prater, live at 7926 West 45th Street. I live just south of the line there in a place called Bay Ridge. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association of Bay Ridge, and we just have some of the same concerns as have already been discussed. We're in kind of a precarious place where we know the Woodards, love the Woodards. They've been members and founding members of the Mays community for forever, and we just appreciate everything that they do for Mays. But by the same token, when we say we're gonna have a corn patch by our back door, you know, we gotta go, well, I'm not too sure about that. But, I think, just putting some perimeters around this, this provisional, and make sure that it gets to stick with the Woodard family and not just the land, would be my preference, because it's sort of like, I trust the Woodards to do the right thing, but I'm not sure that I trust somebody who would take it over to do the right thing in the future, and then it's already platted or whatever in a certain way. So that's just all I'm trying to say right now, is that we appreciate what they're trying to do here. We want, you know, some good guidelines. Everybody that's mentioned some of the perimeters around times, lighting wash, noise, things like that. I'm not really worried that they would cause a disturbance at all. And in fact, you know, it's probably going to be a nice little thing. But if it could go with the Woodard family, and that provisional stay with the Woodard family, I'm good with that. And so are the people of Bay Ridge, I think. But other than that, I just thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please. Please state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Dylan Schellenberg, 5159 North Shoreside Court. I'm here as a resident of the Coves to the west of the subject property, and also representing the builders at the Coves as well. As we talked about this, I mean, we oppose the proposed location and request additional restrictions regarding of the outdoor recreational venue as planned. While we support private property rights and recognize the applicant's desire to utilize their property rights, it must be balanced against the rights and investments of the properties around it. Also, it's worth noting that the Coves to the west was platted before the applicant purchased their ground, and it was well established before this proposal was introduced. This outdoor venue, it will negatively impact more than 400 homes and future homes. Home buyers make their decisions on purchasing based on the character of the development and the compatibility with the adjacent land uses. An outdoor event center will, with the associated traffic, noise, light pollution, and activities, creates a significant conflict that will negatively influence buyers' perceptions of the area and ability for us to sell the land and long-term values of these homes, and just their ability to quietly enjoy it where they live. Importantly, we are not asking for this to be denied. Rather, we are requesting reasonable modifications that would substantially reduce its impact on the surrounding neighborhoods. By relocating this outdoor event area on the east side of the property with greater separation paired with the restricted hours of operation and seasonal aspect of that would help protect the investments made by the homeowners, builders, developers out there, and while letting the applicant move forward with what they're wanting to do. These minimal requests will relieve a majority of the unintended consequences that will cause hundreds of thousands of damage in the inability to sell where these lots currently are. At the end of the day, this request just comes down to moving lines on a piece of paper. The proximity is a main issue on this, and with they've got room to push it more to the east, and I think that's going to relieve a lot of the potential and future conflicts to come. That would be what we want. We talked about the 500 feet. To answer some of the questions before, this east side of the lake, there are patio homes. Can I answer the questions before that the MKC gentleman couldn't answer? So they're patio homes, so the likelihood of being kids next door are not going to be there. And there's survey points on the property line of where those trees are, and a lot of them are on ours, some are on theirs, a lot of them are split down the middle. And when that road goes in, I mean, the trees aren't going to survive. And that's just something that we like to keep them, but the reality of that's most likely not going to happen.
Okay, sir, thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak on this matter? If so, now's the time to come up to the podium. Please state your name and address for the records, and you have 3 minutes.
Sit down.
Good afternoon. Name is Marvin Schellenberg, 7409 Lakewood Circle, Wichita, Kansas. The applicant's property has historically been used for agricultural purposes, including the raising of horses and cattle. It is surrounded by a community that was planned and developed with those agricultural expectations in mind. The requested use represents a significant shift from agricultural to a commercial recreation and entertainment venue. Adjacent to the applicant's property is a premier residential community. Homeowners invested in this lifestyle community based on the character of the area, the tranquility of the lake environment, and the expectation of compatibility with the surrounding land uses. While recreation and entertainment can be appropriate in certain locations, this request introduces concerns regarding noise, amplified music, traffic, lighting, parking, security, and the overall impact on nearby residents. These impacts extend well beyond what would normally be expected from agricultural operations and have the potential to substantially diminish the quality of life and property values of neighboring homeowners. We appreciate the applicant's efforts to diversify agricultural operations. We recognize that recreation and entertainment can be an appropriate use in Sedgwick County when it is carefully designed and operated in a manner that protects neighboring property owners. Good planning requires balancing private property rights with the rights and expectations of surrounding property owners. With that in mind, we would support approval of the conditional use permit, provided that the following conditions are adopted and strictly enforced. Conditions are not limited to other conditions the county would require, and those are the items that I just handed out for you. Those are, I'll read them really quick. All driveways, parking areas, loading areas, and circulation shall be paved. Lighting requirements must meet the standard of the UZC. Site plans need to be better defined for current and future accountability. Noise levels shall comply with Section 4C6. All activities shall be limited to the hours of 10 to 8. That eliminates any light issues. Outdoor recreation and entertainment activities shall be primarily to the fall season as represented by the applicant. All recreation and entertainment activities, gathering area stages shall maintain a 500-foot setback, and a buffer shall be provided and maintained by the applicant to create privacy for the residential community.
So your time has ran out.
Excuse me?
Your time has ran out.
Can I have 1 more minute?
Thank you for your comments.
1 more minute.
I'll give you 30 more seconds.
These conditions are necessary to protect the quality of life, peace and quiet, safety, and property values of the hundreds of families who reside and those that will reside in the adjacent lake. If these conditions are adopted and strictly enforced, we believe they provide an appropriate balance between supporting agritourism and protecting neighborhood residential properties. Thank you. Is there any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Mr. Watson?
Yeah, thank you. On clarification on item number 8, you've asked for a buffer, and there's not real definition as to what you are requesting in terms of a.
Yeah, I think Dylan mentioned to it earlier, our intention is if we can save trees, we will. I mean, but when we have limited space where the road goes, we're going to bring it right up to, it'll have to go right up to the property line. We don't have the depths to play with that. And as, I don't know if you know much about trees, but if you cover the root system by more than 6 inches, they don't adapt. They won't make it. And as much as we want to keep them, we have limitations of where we can put that road. And they are not all on the Woodard property. There are a lot of them, like Dylan said, I've been out there, looked at the survey points. Some are on my ground, some are on his, most of them are down the middle. And so, yes, that's going to create an issue.
Okay, and I had a few other questions too. The questions on things like sound amplification, are you open if the restriction was to keep the sound amplifications directed away from the residential area? Would it be acceptable to have them closer than the 500 feet? I mean, it's
all about the noise. I mean, noise and lights is a big issue for us. And I don't know, how do you keep it accountable if you don't have guidelines? If I'm saying it's too loud and they're saying, no, it's not, how do you prove that? And those are the type of applications I think we need to put in to provide that safety on that.
right. And like we heard on the solar panel case, there was like a 45 decibel level or something.
You can measure the noise. And speaking of noise, I don't know if any of you live on a lake, but sound noise bounces off the lake and it will amplify it. You're shaking your head. Is that a correct statement?
That's what I asked about the
Yeah.
activities on the lake.
Yeah, on the lake, what we allow is, it's a no-wake lake, and so it's a pontoon boat, but we don't allow jet skis. And so it's for that quietness is what we're headed with.
Okay, and then follow up with that, Mr. Chairman, I really just had a question for staff in terms of these 8 conditions. What, in terms of noise, is there a way that staff is accustomed to dealing with those questions about?
Mr. Ross, before you ask a question to staff on that, can we get through the
Yes, sir, sorry.
the public comments, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Williamsburg?
Yes, I'd just like to ask, are there any conversations had between the homeowner association and the applicant? Any conversations had between you and the applicant?
Sir, please go back to the podium.
Sorry, I thought you were talking.
Some question too.
Oh,
Okay. I thought you wanted to move on. What was the question?
has there been any conversations had between you and the applicant concerning some of the items that you just presented?
I had notified Mr. Woodard on the previous one that I was going to be opposed it, and I was wanting to have more separation between our property and the corn maze, and he didn't not want to have that moved.
Okay, sir.
That is,
Sir, your comments
that is,
need to be addressed to the
yeah,
commission.
no, that is, I made that phone call before that. He can deny it, but that is true.
So he has not seen this request that you have passed out to us? Okay.
If there's no additional questions or comments, is there anyone else from the audience that'd like to speak on this? Sir, please state your name and your address for our records. You have 3 minutes.
Reginald Booth, 7618 West 45th Street North, Mays, Kansas. I live in the Bay Ridge area, directly south of the south property line of the subject property. We're talking about a lot of details which we need to talk about, but we're overlooking one major issue with regard to this application. The minute this permit is granted, the 400 people in the coves and the 9 residential areas, residential lots in Bay Ridge live next to a recreation and entertainment facility. That poses a stigma of what is a recreation and entertainment area? Anybody that wants to buy a property next to this permitted area will have that question in their mind. And you can bet they're not going to come to you and they're not going to come to me to find out the information of what is this recreation and entertainment facility. They're going to draw their own conclusions, or they may not even give it a second thought because there are other places to go that aren't next door to a recreation and entertainment facility. Now, when I look at that map, I see 20 lots whose front yard is across the street from this recreation and entertainment facility. You think that fact is not going to devalue those lots considerably, as well as all the lots behind them? All I ask of you is that when you cast your vote on this question, you ask yourself, would I want a recreation and entertainment facility across the street from my front yard? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak from the audience on this? This is your last call. Anyone that want to speak? Seeing none, we will bring it back to the agent for the applicant for rebuttal. And you have three, was it?
Thank you, Kim Edgington, for the record. I want to thank Commissioner Austin. I think he has a very good suggestion of creating a 150-foot separation, which then leads to over 200 feet separation to the property to the west. Our intent is to keep as many of those trees as possible. It was unfortunate that the developer did not account for that in laying out their property and leaving adequate spacing for preserving that tree row if at all possible. So we would like to do whatever we can to keep that tree row in the form of a landscape easement or buffer, whatever is required. My clients live on this property. They live here. They are not going to do anything that is going to negatively impact their own property. They have been residents of Mays their entire lives. Their family is part of the founders of Mays. This is a project that will bring community to this property. There will be field trips for kids in the Mays School District that can come out here and learn about agricultural education, learn about farming techniques. Where do we get our food from? There was a site plan submitted with the original application that laid out exactly where those areas were on an aerial map. So it was unfortunate that that did not make it into this packet. So it gives a scale and location of properties in relation to the entire property boundaries. There are, some definitely things that we can do in terms of, restrictions on lighting, restrictions that any amplification systems be directed away from residential areas. We are more than happy to incorporate those into this project. A fencing requirement does not seem to make any sense because that would eliminate all of the trees. So we would prefer to leave those trees as much as possible. And I will stand for any questions that you might have at this point.
Any questions for the speaker? Commissioner Fry?
Thank you. Kim, you said you submitted a site plan to the staff that shows
with the original submittal, there was the area that will be in activity carved out and overlaid on the aerial.
Do we have that?
I'm going to look to Sam or other staff to see if we have that. I'm not aware of it.
I'm only aware of the general outline of that area. If there's anything more specific, I'd have to look in our documents.
So then it goes back to Kim. On that, where does it show activities in relation to the west property line being?
It shows them about 150 feet at the most from the west property line.
Does that include where Mr. Woodard sketched out the hay or the corn maze?
Corn maze, yes.
That's about 150?
It's between 150 and 200 feet. So
If I may, the line right there.
Yeah, but Mr. Woodard, I'm sorry, for your, if you want them to speak, you gotta come to the.
Yeah, or if you want me to show them on the.
Yeah, I'll give you about 30 seconds.
This line right here would be the edge of the.
That'd be 150 feet
Well, it's
to the west.
right
From there to the west is 150.
from there to the west. So
And you,
we were completely comfortable with.
and you think we have the staff, you submitted that to staff?
It was part of the original submittal, and we can certainly resubmit that to staff and make that part of this before it goes to county commission.
Good, thank you.
Would this be it?
It was overlaid on an aerial, so.
Mr. Austin?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. I think.
So it's scaled out on the aerial that we originally submitted, and we can show the distances of the minimum of 150 foot on an aerial that will be included in the packet that goes to the county commission.
Steve, do you have that? Or,
These are the maps provided.
okay, all right. Excuse me, Commissioner Austin, continue.
And I would agree that if it's will of the planning commission to advance it subject to a site plan, that can be shown on a, but I had some questions for Kim. I know you got this introduced late here, but you've been doing it a long time and understand. So the conditions that Mr. Schellenberger provided here, condition number 1, driveways, parking areas. Did you have any opinion on item?
We would most definitely prefer not to pave anything more than absolutely necessary. As was mentioned before, a lot of this area is in the floodplain, and that will only exacerbate problems and take away from the, agricultural natural area.
Okay, and item number 2, if I heard you correctly, you said you were.
Yes, we're in agreement with that.
In agreement with that one. The site plan we talked about. Noise levels, you mentioned you would be receptive to some restrictions providing the sound amplification directional being
Be directed away from residential properties. Sure.
Would you be acceptable to put a decimal level associated with that as well?
We can do that, or we can make it subject to the unified zoning code.
Okay. And we'll get some clarification from staff on that one, I guess. Hours operation, I believe there's just a difference of opinion on the hours operation. Curious about your thoughts about the limitation of the activities to just the fall season.
We would prefer not to do that. We feel like there's an opportunity here to make, a year, not necessarily year round, but like, as I mentioned before, field trips that could come, growing seasons. So, and not limited to strictly fall.
But to Mr. Fry's question earlier about the activities being fall related, corn patch, that if you were doing, school trips and field activities, I guess I need some clarification from planning staff on those activities being as allowed or identified activities. I guess we can ask staff that question and give them a few minutes to think about it here. Item number 7, it's just a disagreement of the separation of the 500 feet. We have talked a lot about the setback to the west property line, but Mr. Booth brought up a good comment, which we haven't heard was, or hadn't talked about, was a setback to the south property line.
And we're certainly amenable to including that 150 foot setback on the south as well. As you can see on this aerial photo, there's also a very substantial tree line along the south property line as well.
Right, in the properties on the east line, I'm very familiar with, there's a pretty expanded floodway that follows that blue line that goes through their properties, and so there's not going to be much residential because they can't get across that floodway.
They're limited to building on the very eastern portion.
Mr. Schoenberg also mentioned about the buffer, and I think you addressed that with the wall, but I didn't know if you had any other comment on item number 8 there.
Our only comment is to absolutely maintain as much of that tree line as possible. I think that's also incumbent upon the developer to the west as well to try to do anything they can to maintain that tree line and to replace if necessary in areas where they have to remove.
If the tree line were to go away, would it be appropriate to have a little further setback on that west property line? Then 150, maybe 250 or something like that?
I mean, that's something that you guys as planning
Okay.
commission can certainly entertain.
Okay.
Yeah, we would prefer, again, to keep the tree line as much as possible.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions? If not, we will bring it back to for the commission, for discussion or possible motion. Is there any discussion on this? Excuse me, Commissioner Fry?
Thank you. Again, I was not present for the original meeting, but I'm glad this discussion happened today because it raised a lot of concerns I had while reviewing it. I believe that surrounding residents had residential zoning expectations when they were buying their properties and developing their land. So the recreation and entertainment pardon the pun, is too wide open for me in this case. Essentially, it's an event center. But at the same time, I think there has been some compromise suggested with hours of operation and setbacks, as long as it adheres to the request for the proposed site plan. So I hope that maybe there's a motion that could combine that and be able to find a compromise that has been suggested by both parties, the applicant as well as some of the opposition that we heard today.
Any additional comments?
We're looking at a site that has been agricultural and will someday be a home subdivision where homes go in, because an agri farm is not going to last forever. There's going to be a time, but this is going to be back to bare land unless you put concrete all over it and build buildings on it. This is not going to be a joy land or worlds of fun. It's going to be farming. I lived in a duplex that backed up to Derby Water Park for a number of years. Everybody was concerned about the noise that was going to come along there. It was more like a dinner party. My backyard literally backed up to the pool, to the water park in Derby, and it was not that much noise at all. So I think that the noise level here is going to be little kids are going to go whippy on a horse, and you're not going to have a stage with a rock and roll band or anything like that. So I think we're going way overboard on restrictions here on something that's really meant to be something simple and good for the neighborhood.
Mr. Mayor? Okay. Any additional comments? I concur with Commissioner Warren. I think we sort of got off track here and went overboard on this. But I would entertain a motion. Does anybody want to make a motion on this? Commissioner Fry?
Thank you. Not to rehash my comments from earlier, but I think it does need some type of limitations so that it is a little bit more known what we're dealing with as neighbors. So I move that we approve the staff alternative options and to include restriction of hours from Sunday through Thursday to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday till 10 p.m., 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday. Setback of 150 feet from the applicant's west and south property lines, and that the site plan needs to follow the what was submitted, and any changes to that has to come back for a conditional use request.
Second.
Did I leave something out?
Can I get a clarification to get on the hours? Was that from
Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.?
Yeah, to me, that's cutting it. I like, the agent has requested, to 10 PM. Sunday through Thursday, and then, again, you're good on the 12 PM
No,
or 12 AM, I guess, on,
no, I'm saying 8 PM, Sunday through Thursday, school nights. Friday and Saturday, 10 PM limit.
okay.
As written.
You have comment, then I'll come back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Fry, just so I'm clear, are you asking that if there's a change in the site plan with the uses that perhaps aren't listed currently, it comes back as a new conditional use or an amendment to this conditional use?
The amendment to this conditional use.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Mader?
Just clarifying what Commissioner Fry said, you're wanting to use what was written by staff for timing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Austin?
just a question for the motion maker. Did you have any?
Don't
That's been
More
seconded.
discussion?
It's been seconded. Question for the motion maker. Did you want to adopt the Mr. Schellenberg's comments about the site lighting, the generators, which the applicant said that they would agree to, and
The lighting was already addressed in the staff's conditions.
right, but it was a height requirement, didn't deal with the noise of the generators.
I didn't include that.
Okay, and then also about the sound, any amplification systems being directed away.
I didn't include that either.
Okay.
I was using an existing city ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional comments? Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner Warren?
Additional comment would be, I couldn't go along with the timing extensions, limitations. I'd go 10 o'clock each night, just go Monday through Sunday.
Okay, would you want to make the substitute motion, or?
Friendly addition.
Okay, the motion maker in a second, is it acceptable?
I do not. I believe that school nights should be 8 PM.
Chairman, I didn't want to, if I could just provide a point of clarification on the noise issue. There is no, in the unincorporated area, there's no noise resolution. Now, so we wouldn't, I mean, in Sedgwick County, we have very specific instances where in a zoning matter, there will be some sort of noise regulation, or, like in our animal code, we have certain provisions, but overall, we don't have an overarching noise resolution in the unincorporated area.
Okay, any additional comments? Going back to Commissioner Warren. Did you want to make a substitute motion or just let it stand?
Substitute motion that all hours of operation would end at 10 PM, except on school nights. And it would go to 8 PM.
Sunday through Thursday, 8 PM, 10 AM to 8 PM. Friday and Saturday, 10 AM to 10 PM. That's exactly how the staff has it in their substitute term, correct?
That's correct. That's what's written in the red text.
Okay, I still want to make a comment, I think especially on being in the county, and looking at Friday and Saturday at 12. I don't think that's not not reasonable. We have done that we just recently had some cases that the hours were extended to event centers, even in the city. So I think we need to be looking at being consistent on that, and this is in the county. So I definitely think that especially on Friday and Saturday, the hours should be extended and closing at 12 instead of what they're showing now. Instead of 10 o'clock, I think it should be 12 midnight. So I support the motion, to approve in a second, but with the exception of that, so I will make a substitute motion that we approve based on the comments that were made from Commissioner Fry, with the exception of the hours, at least on Friday and Saturday at midnight. Okay, we have a motion by the chair, and we have a second by Commissioner High. And are you ready? Do you have a question?
I have a question.
Yes,
Does everything else stay the same?
yes,
So you're just changing the hours?
yeah, I'm just changing hours, nothing else. Okay, we'll call a substitute motion. All in favor of the substitute motion, signify by saying aye.
Sure.
Yes, Commissioner Wood.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought I did good. Now you want me to do that? The hours, I did, we changed, I want to make on the hours is on Friday and Saturday, instead, to 12 instead of 10.
To 12. 12.
Yeah, to 12 midnight.
Thank you.
And Chairman, just to clarify the substitute motion, it incorporates everything else that Commissioner Fry's motion.
That's correct. And everything that the initial second wants too, so the substitute motion, I'll call the vote. All in favor of the substitute motion, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, I think we need to do a hand count or a roll call.
Yes, sir. This is on the substitute motion. Aldrich,
Yes.
Zimbelman,
No.
Fry,
No.
Mater,
Yes.
McKay,
No.
Dool,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
High,
Yes.
Clontz is absent, Warren,
Yes.
Joe Johnson is absent, Austin,
No.
Williams Bay,
Yes.
and we have a vacant position. The motion passes 7-4.
The motion passed 7-4. Next agenda item that we have. In a second, see if I find my place. Oh, what did I do with it? I buried it. There we go. Next agenda item that we have is 5.3 PUD 2026-00013. Oh, okay, there we go. Christina?
Should I present now or wait a minute for folks to clear?
I'm sorry?
Should I present now or wait for folks to clear?
Just wait a couple of minutes.
Okay.
The other business where I do love to be good at all farms.
Yeah, I think about it. Christina, could you go like 1.5 times speed?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, McKay told me to talk slow, so I'll meet in the middle and do one time. How about that?
Hey, Christina, I believe we could go now.
Okay. Good afternoon, Christina Reith with planning staff here to present PUD 2613. The applicant is requesting a zone change from single family to planned unit development to create the Cadillac Lake residential PUD. The subject site is 2.72 acres in size and is located at 9725 West 29th Street North. So this is south of West 29th Street and 1/2 mile east of North Mays Road. The subject site is currently undeveloped. So generally speaking, a PUD or a planned unit development allows a certain level of flexibility with site development regulations, which would otherwise not be permitted under the existing zoning. So this is a custom zoning development. According to the PUD language submitted by the applicant, the site would consist of one parcel, parcel one. After additional review by staff, we are actually recommending that we divide the site into two parcels. And this is because a parcel is bisected by a proposed public street. And these two streets are creating two rights of way, so they are considered a through lot with two front setbacks. So essentially, parcel two in the language, if the zone change request is approved, would mirror that of the parcel one language. Access to the site would be from West 29th Street North, and a new entrance and street within the development would be created. The PUD would permit a maximum number of 30 dwelling units. So if this were to be developed in the single family zoning, it would allow a maximum of 23 dwelling units. So this would increase the allowable number of dwelling units by 7. The development standards would also deviate from the SF5 zoning district, and that table that demonstrates a change in development standards is listed on page 2 of your staff report. The PUD language states that the parking requirement be one parking stall per dwelling unit. And as you can see in the PUD drawing, there is additional parking spaces available on the north, or what would be parcel 1, and then what we were hoping to be parcel 2. Signage would be permitted in accordance with the Wichita sign code for the SF5 zoning district. And the character of the neighborhood is a mixture of residential and or park open space. To the north, across 29th Street North, is zoned single family and developed with a reserve for residential development. To the south and west is zoned SF5 and is in use as a public park. To the east is zoned SF5 and developed with single family homes. There are no zoning cases associated with this property. The requested zone change is in partial conformance with the community investment plans. The 2035 future growth concept map identifies a site as appropriate for parks and open space. So the applicant is proposing a residential use, so in accordance with the future growth concept map, it does not align with the goals of said map. However, the proposed PUD is in conformance with the land use compatibility guidelines within the community investments plan. For example, under development patterns, one of the guidelines states that development should occur where necessary, supporting infrastructure and services exist or are planned for extension concurrently with the development. And then in regards to the Unified Zoning Code, there's a purpose statement within the zoning code, and it states that Planned Unit Development Zoning District is a special purpose zoning district that is intended to encourage innovative land planning and design and avoid the monotony sometimes associated with large developments. The applicant is requesting modified setbacks and reduced minimum lot sizes to allow an increase in density on the subject site that would not normally be supported by the existing zoning district. The request to reduce the setbacks and the minimum lot size for each lot would normally require a variance through the Planning Department and the Board of Zoning Appeals. So staff is recommending approval of the application subject to the provisions of the Cadillac Lake PUD and the conditions listed on pages 3 and 4 of your staff report. This recommendation is based on the golden factors, which are on page 4 of your staff report. At the time the report was prepared, I did not receive any comments on the requested zone change. However, that has since changed. I received some comments from the public, mostly with concerns for traffic and as well as environmental concerns for the nearby wetlands that are south and west of the subject site. And those comments have been distributed to you guys in a packet. So let's go through some of the site photos, please. This is looking south towards the site from West 29th Street North. Next slide, please. This is looking north away from the site across West 29th Street North. Next slide, please. This is looking east down West 29th Street. Next slide, please. And this is looking west along West 29th Street North. And with that, I will stand for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you. The agent or applicant, please.
Good afternoon, Phil Meyer with Baughman Company, agent for the applicant. With me here today is Brandon Mason with Slauson Companies. If you have specific questions for Brandon, he'd be glad to answer them. This is probably a good page to start on right here. Then I'm going to flip around to a couple other pages while we do that. But Slauson owed this north 80 acres from Mays Road east to the half-mile line along 29th Street. I'm guessing at this number, but they dedicated approximately 45 of that to what has become the city park there. They kept the northwest corner for the Cattle Lake commercial development. And the reason I'm bringing all this up, they specifically kept this 3 acres for development. They let it stay single family zoning. The city of Wichita and the park department knew from the day they accepted the donation below that this property was going to be developed someday. And to me, that's the important part for you to know. That's always been shown on GSI, Sedgwick County or Wichita GSI as the ownership of Slauson. If I could have you go back to page 7 for me, which is back 1 page. So this is the development they're looking at doing. Slauson is going to do this residential development themselves. Thank you. They will be the builders on this. They're doing this with single family residential development. They are smaller lots. That's why we did the PUD. The lots are 30 foot wide and have to be 100 foot deep. They're about 120 foot deep. We're going to call this 2-story craftsman and farmhouse design cottage. But what they are is you're going to come in this road. Your garages are going to be off the road. So in the middle, your front door or your patio faces either 29th Street or faces the park to the south. And there's a little patio out there on the front door. We have got a walk system all the way around this that can tie into the sidewalk in 29th Street. So you'll drive in, you'll pull in your back door, and then your front door will be there with a sidewalk system for people to be able to go out and circulate and then walk around the park if they choose. I did mention Slauson will be the developer. I think most of us today think of Slauson as a commercial developer, but they have done residential development for over 40 years in Wichita and do nice quality residential development in all the ones they've done. So when the meeting started, Christina handed me the concerns that she got from the neighbors yesterday. At 2:15, I was going to tell you I didn't have much chance to review those and comment on them, but at this point, I've read it more times than I want to. So I think I got a handle on them now, but briefly, instead of doing it at the rebuttal, I'll go ahead and throw them out now. Neighbors' concerns, and some of these are very, very typical from neighbors' concerns, inconsistent with the surrounding area. This is single-family residential, and it does fit into this area. Since I have single-family residential to the east and to the north, it does fit in there. Concerned about the floodplain management, and we will have to go through, this is going to have to go through a platting process as you approve the zoning of the PUD. During that platting process, we will have to meet all the requirements of the city for stormwater drainage. And floodplain management is one of those, and we'll have to get all the appropriate permits from the state and local before we can do activities in that area, of which we already have some of those permits completed. Traffic and infrastructure impacts would be negative. I'm very, very comfortable in telling you that 29th Street North, the way it's constructed, can handle this 25 single-family units that we're proposing. Environmental concerns, again, we have got federal, state, and local requirements that we will have to address during the construction of the infrastructure, and we will be glad to meet all those requirements. Our stormwater manual requires water quality as one of the conditions. So there was comments about water pollutants, and we will have to meet the city of Wichita stormwater quality requirements, which is there to prevent pollutants from escaping the site. So we will be addressing that. And these units could be a visual blight and impact to property values. And these are going to be nice houses and will not have any negative value to surrounding land. So With that, I'm gonna stop and answer any questions you may have.
Phil, do you, I know you've read staff reports, but do you support staff's comments, including all the PUD comments
Yes,
as well?
we do. I'm sorry, I had that in my notes and I skipped past that one. We were in agreement with staff comments as written. So if you want to approve it per staff comments, we're fine.
Okay, thank you. Is there any additional questions or the speaker? Seeing none, does anyone from the audience would like to speak on this? Yes, sir. If you want to speak, please come to the podium and state your name and your address for our records. And you have 3 minutes.
Hey, I'm Mike McCoy. I'm at 9533 West Ryan Court, just east of the development. So I went out and measured where Key Construction had staked out the land, and it's 14 feet from my backyard fence. It looks very narrow. I don't know if you got images. I sent a few over yesterday. So I'm concerned with everything we've heard. More people, more vehicles, more noise, less privacy. I have a pool with a deck right there, and it's going to be a huge eyesore. It's like right there, especially now hearing that it's a 2-story situation, which is going to affect my privacy and my family's privacy. I'm concerned about the visual blight and the value impact that it's going to have on the enjoyment of my home if it's not just single family residence with all the extra people and the extra just visual clutter there. I think it's going to affect the visible natural scenery, which will negatively affect the marketability of my home. I think that just because we say, oh, they're nice houses, I mean, it's still going to be a lot of units right there, and it's going to affect the view we have from our backyard. I worry about light and noise from floodlights, security lighting, excessive noise from the more people that will diminish the use and enjoyment of my property. And then lastly, when I was researching this, I saw that the Prac wetlands was one of the last remaining urban wetlands in the Midwest. And my District 5 council member, J.V. Johnston, he was quoted in the media last summer talking about the wetlands' importance and how it's, quote, so peaceful and tranquil, and that, quote, you can get away from the city, get away from the noise, get that sense of peace and inner happiness. And I worry that I'm going to lose all those things if this gets rezoned to increase the dwelling units by 7. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak on this matter? Yeah, please come to the podium, state your name and your address. And you have 3 minutes.
My name is Samuel Arms. I live at 9502 West Ryan Street, which is probably a little further than the people that are going to be truly impacted, but it's my neighborhood. So I actually am here representing my wife. She's sick today. She had surgery last week, and so she was going to attend, but she couldn't. She's a published author, and she gave me a book to read to you. I'm not going to be able to do it in 3 minutes. So I'm going to just kind of summarize that everything that you have heard, not only from the gentleman that was just up here and the other residents, and probably from everybody that stands up here before you, is the same thing that she wanted to express to you, with the exception of, and this is life experience, the neighborhood that we moved from has gone through, it was a unique neighborhood. It had been in existence for, well, in fact, she grew up in that neighborhood. And they were constantly, there was 30 acres across the street from our house that hadn't been developed. It was still zoned as 2-acre minimums. Every time that it was somebody tried to develop it, they wanted to develop something similar to what's going on here. These small little houses that were not that they weren't bad looking, but it just didn't fit into the neighborhood. It wasn't the way that neighborhood was intended to be used. And my concern is this is the same thing. If you drive through this neighborhood in this area, not only in where we're living, but all the other houses in the area, there's not a single area that I have seen that looks like these houses. They're laid out. This looks like apartment buildings. This looks like, to me, it looks like it's low housing projects. And that's what everybody that comes into my neighborhood is going to first see. That's going to be their first impression. It's right there on the street. So that's, I think, my number one concern is just what's it going to do to the neighborhood? It's going to affect the value of the property because people are going to think of it that way, and they're not going to want to, it's just going to take the value of our properties down. The second thing that concerns me, well, there's more than one, is I forgot. My time's up. I hear you. But anyway, that was my major point that I wanted to get out is this property, the way it's designed, doesn't fit the area that it's being placed into. If that wanted to be developed, originally it was developed to look like the other houses that are in that area, not look like apartment buildings. And that's what I would say. I would recommend that you, if they want to develop it, they develop it the same way.
Okay. Sir, thank you very much for your comments. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? Please come to the podium and your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Pittman. My address is 9541 West Ryan Court. I am in agreement with what has already been mentioned, so I will keep it short. I am concerned about the traffic. When that development, the commercial development, went in on the corner on both sides, there was a huge increase in traffic accidents. And the traffic flow has been very disrupted because of the entrances and exits of the hotel, Sam's Club, Quick Trip, all of Hobby Lobby, all of that in there. And I'm not quite sure how 2 exits and entrances on that area, in that small area, will affect coming in and out of my development on 29th Street, plus all of the extra traffic coming in and out of the commercial areas. It gets very congested. So that is concerning to me. I do have kids who are in the area. There's lots of small children in our development. That park that just went in there, I feel like the traffic could be concerning. The other thing is water. We, along that back, my property doesn't back up to that housing development, but it's down a little ways. It is not uncommon for me to have standing water in my backyard. I'm curious how the laying of pavement and concrete might affect that or increase it. I know that some of the people who have homes right along the back of that have had lots of standing water in their backyard. So I'm not quite sure how that will impact us. And I am concerned about the wetlands too. It should be protected. I know Farmer Proct wanted it to be protected. I've lived there almost 25 years. So I lived there before it was developed, and I know how much he loved that land. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this? Last call. Is there anyone else like to speak on this? Seeing none, we will bring it back to the agent for rebuttal. And you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I addressed most of these with my initial, and I know it's been a long day for you guys. So out of what's been said here, I guess I'm going to hit on the quality of what we're building here. And if I could go back to page 7, which is one back. There we go. Thank you. This is a single family development. This will not lower property values. The way we've designed this, if there's the 3 lots that back up to this, there's 70 feet or so before you get to the back of the house. If we did a standard development on this, we're going to back the house up and get it a lot closer to where they are. So if they're concerned about looking at a house, if a standard development, we'd be backing it up closer. One of those 3 homeowners actually has put a sump pump out onto our property that we're going to have to work with and address. We got a little drainage issue we're going to work with as we go through that. this is a unique development for Wichita. I will say that, and that it's a little different that we're got the garages in the back and going back to the front door. So that is a nice look. Plenty of room in 29th Street. Traffic, there can always be accidents. I'm not going to tell you they're not. I'm going to tell you that arterial street is designed to handle the traffic that would come off of this development. And based on the acreage we have and what we can do in single family, we're really not asking for a large increase, 20% or so, but we're not asking for a giant increase in density. So with that, I'm going to stop and spend my time answering your questions.
And thank you. Is there any questions? Yes, Commissioner Warren?
Bill, got a friend that's got a zero lot line house. The difficulty of draining between yards, between houses, the yard going forward and backwards, front and back. How do you get past that? That's a long ways to go with a.
We split it both ways. We split it in the middle and take some north and some south, and sometimes we have an underground drainage system to help with that.
Okay.
Because it's tight in there. We fully.
You got enough lay of the land that you can do that?
Yes, yes. And our drain is just gonna go out to the west. So, and we'll have a storm sewer system through the whole thing.
Commissioner Zoll?
I may have missed some of this. How many square foot in this house? Has they figured it out yet? Does it have a basement to start with?
It does not have a basement. It's
Okay.
a slab. It's 2-story. The garage is going to be in the back. I don't know that I can give you that number on square footage off the top of my head.
It does have a second floor, you're saying?
Yes, yeah.
So
it's
how many
2-story.
bedrooms are there?
I don't, they have the floor plan, Tony. I can
Okay.
get you those answers, but I didn't bring all that with me.
That's okay.
So I'm going to tell you there's at least 3 bedrooms in that,
Okay.
at least.
So they're trying to target a market that can't afford a big old house on a big old lot.
Well, they're trying to target a market that doesn't want the standard larger home, but still wants a nice home. And it's important for me to point out to you guys, these aren't going to be starters. Okay, it's just, it's a different model that's a little smaller house because a lot of people don't want steps anymore in the basement. And they don't want to have as much house to take care of. So they're looking to fit that market. And I'm gonna say they're gonna be your second, third time home buyers moving in here, not your first time.
Thank you, Phil.
Any additional questions for the speaker? Saying none, thank you. We will bring it back to the commission for discussion. Commissioner Fry?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the staff conditions in the report.
We have a motion for approval for staff recommendations and comments from Commissioner Fry, a second by Commissioner Austin. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion is passed unanimously. Before we get going on our next one, has the agent or the applicant on the next item showed up yet?
Sir, I do have an update on this one. We did reach out to the applicant. We did not hear back. However, the applicant did contact us. I'd forgotten about this early on in the meeting. They contacted us prior to this meeting and had requested a deferral. The thing, I've got some additional comments on this case though, because this case is coming to you as an enforcement case. This person has been found in violation of the zoning code, and it was deferred once previously at the request of the applicant. And so at this point, you do, as the planning director, I would advise that you do have the ability to move forward with the case. You can take action on it today, or you can defer it as well.
Traditionally, or the normal protocol, I guess, on this is that how many deferrals requests from the applicants do you usually give? Is it just one?
I would say that we don't have a policy on that. And our practice, I don't know that we have a large amount of practice in this because this is a little bit unique in that it is prompted by a enforcement case. That's why, as the planning director, because you've already extended the courtesy of it being deferred once, I would recommend that you go ahead and take action on it.
Okay, thank you, Director. Brett?
Yes, once again, Brad Otherly, MAPD. We are discussing zone 2026-00022. For this case, the applicant is requesting a zone change from SF5, Single Family Residential District, to GC, General Commercial District. The property is located at 2901 North Fountain Avenue. This application stems from a zoning enforcement case for having portable storage containers on property zoned SF5. Portable storage containers are defined as a use of storage outdoor in the Unified Zoning Code. Additionally, storage outdoor is considered an industrial use in the UZC. Storage outdoor is prohibited as a use in the SF5 district and is only permitted as a primary use in the General Commercial District, CBD, Central Business District, Limited Industrial District, and GI General Industrial District. The site is and the Air Force Base District. The site is currently developed with a single-family dwelling. Storage outdoor as an accessory use is not permitted in any residential zoning districts. The aerial image, if we can go to that real quick, does indicate that there appears to be 3. I've been told there are 2. It's hard to tell because of trees and property lines and things like that, but it does look like at least a portion of one, if not both, are maybe situated outside of the property lines and not within the applicant's property completely. A zone change to general commercial would allow for the development of a wide variety of higher intensity commercial uses, manufacturing uses, all housing types, and public and civic uses. Additionally, it would allow changes for the minimum lot area, minimum lot width, and set requirements, and the full development standard changes are located in the staff report. The UZC does require compatibility standards for side and rear lot lines of property zoned MF18 or less restrictive when they're within 500 feet of a property zone TF3 or more restrictive. This one would require those compatibility standards to be met. As far as screening and landscaping goes, a 6 to 8 foot solid screening fence is required where commercial but single family zoning. For this case, it would include all sides. The Wichita Landscape Code requires a landscape street yard with parking lot screening along North Fountain Avenue because it is adjacent to a local street and is across from a residential district. And then finally, a landscape buffer is required along all property lines. These property lines have existing mature trees, which could be counted toward the landscape requirement. A landscape plan must be submitted to the planning department for review and approval in order to come into compliance. As far as parking goes, parking will have to adhere to the UZC for single family and duplex development. Parking would be 1 parking stall per dwelling unit. For storage outdoor, as a principal use, the UZC requires 1 parking space per 10,000 square feet. As far as surrounding context, if we can go to the zoning map, the character of the area is low density residential. Property to the north and west is zoned SF5 and is undeveloped. Properties to the south are zoned SF5 and are undeveloped and developed with a single family dwelling. Properties to the east are zoned SF5 and are undeveloped and developed with a single family dwelling. All of the undeveloped properties are basically de facto reserves of the Chisholm Park Estates Edition. There's bike and ped trails going through that portion of the city as well. It was platted on August 19th, 1959 as part of the Chisholm Park Estates Edition, and there are no other zoning cases associated with the site. The site has access to North Fountain Avenue, which is a paved 2-lane local street with no sidewalks. The Chisholm Greenway Bike Trail is adjacent to the subject site, and it does have access to municipal water and sewer. Wichita Transit does not provide regular bus service to the area. If we can go to the future growth map, the requested zone change is not in conformance with the community investments plan. The future growth map recommends the subject site is appropriate for residential use, which is defined as areas that reflect the full diversity of residential development densities and types typically found in a large urban municipality. subject site is part of a residential neighborhood, where commercial zoning and industrial uses such as storage outdoor, specifically with portable storage containers, are not permitted. Staff has determined that changing the zoning and adding the proposed use to the subject site does not conform to the policies within the plan. As far as the locational guidelines go, under land use compatibility, guideline 1A states that higher intensity development should be discouraged from locating in areas of existing lower intensity development, particularly established low density residential areas. The GC district allows a wide range of commercial uses and several industrial, manufacturing, and extractive uses. The residential area is not an appropriate site for such a zoning designation. And then under land use compatibility, guideline 1B, industrial and major commercial land uses that generate pollution, odor, noise, light, safety hazards, and high levels of traffic should be located away from residential areas and developed with screening, buffering, and site design features sufficient to mitigate adverse impacts. The proposed zoning and use are in the middle of this residential neighborhood, and although screening, buffering, and compatibility standards would be required to be met, staff has determined that this would still likely be detrimental to the surrounding properties. As far as the Wichita Places for People plan, it is not in conformance with the plan. The requested zone change does not align with strategy 3, which is to improve the economic feasibility of commercial service uses and the markets necessary to support them. The zone change request is within a large residential development that is not appropriate for commercial or industrial districts or use. The request does not align with strategy 6, which is to encourage infill and redevelopment that is contextual to the environment in which it is occurring. The environment is completely residential in nature, and adding commercial industrial uses to the area is not appropriate. The requested conditional use is not in conformance with the Northeast Heights Comprehensive Plan Amendment. The map identifies the subject site as appropriate for residential urban. The term residential suburban is not defined in the plan, but the proposed district and use is just not appropriate for the subject site. If we can go to the site pics, this is looking west into the site. Next picture. This is looking north away. Next picture. This is looking east away, and lastly, looking south away from the site. Planning staff does recommend the request for general commercial district be denied. This is based on the golden factors. We have received a couple of comments that are placed in front of you, or at least were placed in front of you at the beginning of the meeting, who are against the proposal. And I can tell you that it did go to DAB 1 on June 1st, and they voted as well. So with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any questions for, yes, Commissioner Dole?
Or storage units, shipping containers.
Correct.
There is no, okay, there's no basis. There's no basis that I can see to change the zoning of this property to accommodate shipping containers in that neighborhood.
Any additional questions for, yes, the Commissioner Williams-Bay?
I agree with that statement, and I'd like to make a motion to deny.
Okay, we're not quite ready yet there, so is there any additional questions? Is there, since we don't have the agent or applicant here, is there anyone from the audience left that would like to speak on this matter? This last call. There's no one there. Okay, thank you. Well, no rebuttal, so we're good. Let's bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Williams-Bay?
I make a motion that we deny.
We have a motion by Commissioner Williams-Bay and a second by everyone else. So, that was, who's seconded? Commissioner Dole? We'll take the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And thank you. That Now we're done with the public items. We will now go to the non-public item to hear the DER 2026-00009.
If you pass this in.
Oh, Scott.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
You're gonna-
Yeah, we had a change, staff member couldn't make it. So I just want to introduce this one. First off, is that anytime that the community has a comprehensive plan, state statute requires that if they want to adopt the CIP, that it first has to be submitted and approved by the planning commission as being in conformance or conformity with comprehensive plan. Now, this item has been reviewed prior to this group. It went to the MAPC Advanced Plans. It is coming to you with a recommendation for approval, and that you all would find that the county CIP is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. And I will let you know that the county CIP is quite in-depth. There's quite a number of projects. And so if you, and again, it's not a public hearing. If you'd like to receive the presentation, or if you want to ask questions, it's up to you. However, whatever information would be most helpful for you, and whichever way you'd like to process it. So there are two members of the county team here who worked on this. So we have one that would present the elements related to everything that's not roads and stormwater, and then we have the other that would represent streets and stormwater.
Is there anyone from the commission that would like to go any more depth on this, or are we good? Got a lot of head shaking here. Huh? Yeah, Advanced Plans did hear it, and and we did recommend approval that it did come to the full body of the MAPC. So I'm gonna jump protocol here a little bit. Is there any reason why we couldn't go right for a vote on this, or?
Chairman, I'm not aware of any reason that you couldn't I mean, you have to consider what's been proposed, and after that opportunity, I think that's been in the backup. And I believe there are staff available for questions, but I don't think you have to do anything further unless you see fit. And I'm looking to see if Scott has anything else he wants to add.
Okay, what I would do then, get a little creative here. I will turn this over to the chairman of the Advanced Plans for his comments.
As chairman of the Advanced Plans Committee, I move we accept the CIP for the Sedgwick County Department.
And I'll just add in, Commissioner, does that include making a finding that the proposed CIP is in conformance with the Community Investments Plan 2015 through 2035?
I would have read it just like that.
And does the second concur? I guess I would have, thank you.
Good motion, guys. Okay, we will call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. That is it. It has passed. Yeah, we have nothing else on the agenda. I'm sorry, we can always add some more stuff, but I don't think that's the real, so we will adjourn.
Okay, I guess we're done now. Okay, so thank you guys.
Thank you, everybody.